Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Out's here, and it's Saturday, and we're doing a reaction stream to two losses yesterday. I started a little early because I was just here. Why not start? Um, yeah, the Raptors 905 lost to Wisconsin Herd in a game that they really didn't really compete well in. And then the Raptors choked in a game against the Bulls last night and lost their third game of the season against the Bulls. And all three losses to the Bulls this season have been huge disappointments. In fact, they may be the three most disappointing losses of this entire year for the Raptors. That's weird to me, man. You know, Billy Donovan and Darko are real close. They're real close. And, Billy's not having the best season with the Bulls this year. That's for sure. And, the Raptors have different kind of goals right now. But I think that we checked a lot of the boxes again last night. We've been using this term ethical tank this season. I don't think that that's exactly what happened, but there were forces that definitely limited our ability to win in certain ways with certain choices. And, there's something going on when the broadcast is so openly talking about certain things. Like, I really don't like Leo Routen's setting the game up with a whole premise that the Raptors don't need to win. It's not good for the broadcast. I know that you're saying it logically because you're talking about ping pong balls and all this, but you really encourage like a thing that in our fan nation that's really dumb and I hate. And honestly, when you play competitive sports, and Leo, you know this, you want to play all out and win no matter what. You are trying to win. And when, it may be the underlying thing with the Raptors and what they're trying to do with the rest of this year. But Leo, you don't need to promote it and put it right at the front end of the entire show. In some ways, you kind of script write. It's like you're part of the script writing. It's like, oh, the Raptors, they don't need to win right now, and basically say it, and then they don't win. It's fishy to me. And then it's fishy during the game when Jack Armstrong starts talking about how the Raptors could fumble the game in the middle of the game, like halfway through the game. He's like, if the Raptors don't stop making turnovers and they let the Bulls get outrun, they might start coming back and get the crowd behind them, and all of a sudden they win. Why would you say that in the middle of the game, Jack Armstrong? Maybe you know the script already before the game starts. Yesterday I said Ed Malloy has no reason to ref manipulate this game, but I forgot that maybe opportunity would come up and the reason would be there in a split second. Never underestimate Ed Malloy's chance to screw us over in the last couple seconds of a game to screw us over. And he did. He did it again. Ed Malloy hit job right at the end of the game with a very, very bad call with the 4-point play for Kobe White. That was a horrible call. Emmanuel did not foul him. Now, Emmanuel admits after the game in his interview that he screwed up. This is what he said. I'm going to quote it exactly. He said, it was a mistake I shouldn't make. I've been in the league 5 years now, but my instinct took over. Don't let him get a three. But I got to be better than that. That foul's on me. Well, Jack was exactly right. I mean, who cares if he makes the three? Definitely don't foul him because he makes the three. We're up by one still, and we win at the end of the game. So it was a weird, perfect execution of folly in the fourth quarter to fumble this game and lose it. We can talk about how decisions like Chris Boucher's DNP, Jakob Pertl's minutes restriction, Emmanuel quickly fouling out late in the game to not be able to be there for important stuff in overtime. Yeah, these are all factors that led to us losing. We had to lean into the young players again. And the young players are a mixed bag of success and failure. Let's just put it that way. Grady Dick can make an amazing turning the reverse way fadeaway shot that's absolutely impressive. Really top-notch difficulty. He makes it, but he can also make some mistakes at the end of the game too that absolutely cost us the game. Grady Dick, you're an 86% free throw shooter, and you could ice the game by hitting 2 free throws, and you missed the first one when you step out of the line. In some ways, a great shooter like Grady needs to understand, when the game is on the line and you can win it yourself, you need to fucking do it. Because the lesson for you last night, Grady, is you could have won that game single-handedly yourself. But you missed the first free throw of your 2 free throw attempts. That would have put us up with a cushion that they couldn't touch us at. So, Grady, I'm going to blame you for losing this game. I'm going to blame Ed Malloy. I'm going to blame the lack of Chris Boucher. I'm going to blame the announcers for being so giddy about wanting them to lose. I'm going to blame Tank Nation for wanting that energy. I'm going to blame the ping pong balls. Yeah, I got a lot to blame here. But you know what? Once again, even though we can lose this way, it's frustrating, it's ugly, it's stupid, it's a fumble, it's a choke. It's all gravy anyway. We still win even in losing because there's no tiebreaker with Chicago. If, God forbid, we ended up at the end of the season with the same record as Chicago and a chance to be in the play-in, they would win the tiebreaker now for sure because they've won the series 3-0. 3-0 right now. We get one more chance to play them, and hopefully we'll beat them the next time we play them in Chicago. Because honestly, I don't want to get swept by the Bulls. The Bulls are not a good team this year. And it's stupid that we lost 3 close games to them this season, and all of them were felt like last night. They all did. I've hated every single Bulls game this year that we've played because they've been close losses to Billy Donovan, best friends with Darko Rajakovic. There's just a lot to it if you really look at it all at the same time. You know, oh man, there were some blown defensive assignments in the fourth quarter and the overtime that absolutely allowed the Bulls to score willy-nilly as they wanted to. At times, the Raptors could have good defense and hold them off and guard them really well with good switching and good coverage. And that was shown. The Raptors played a very, very good 3 quarters. Fourth quarter sucked, and overtime, they absolutely didn't show up. And, you know, that's that. That's an ethical tank. That's a loss when a lot of people around the Raptors don't necessarily want us to win, and it's okay. You know, the competitor in me hates this, but I can see the other side of how this is absolutely almost a perfect game for the Raptors. They play 3 perfect, really good quarters, show exactly how badass they are. We see amazing passing off of them, teamwork, really, really cool chemistry, all kinds of cool stuff happening. We see the development of Scotty using his left. We see Scotty continuing his dominance and being very aggressive, getting as close as possible to the basket and getting layups and dunks and all that kind of stuff. Scotty actually being very aggressive and fiery and very, very good on the court and back from injury too. We see different Raptors players getting hurt during the game. Oshai twisted his ankle, had to leave, couldn't play for the rest of the game. He wasn't in the rotation anymore. Well, in the second half, they could have put Chris in for his minutes in the second half, but they didn't. Why? Why wouldn't you play Chris if Oshai had a slight of minutes that he was supposed to get in the second half, but he got hurt in the first half because he twisted his ankle? Why wouldn't you play Chris in those minutes? Well, because there's a script, maybe. Maybe there's a script. I'm telling you that when they hold out guys like Boucher and Pirtle in crunch time, when there's things that matter and they're veterans and they know more how to do things at the end of the games, then guys like Grady and Mobo, that is a symbol that in some ways we're not totally serious about closing the game out with a win, or we're going to allow the young guys to have a chance to play in development minutes and be in that high stakes kind of high pressure situation and succeed or fail. And quite often they're going to fail. Blown defensive assignments. You know, Darko talking about Orlando Robinson. Orlando Robinson did some very good stuff in this game, but also he failed in certain defensive assignments and adjustments, and that hurt us. Grady Dick, wrong place at the wrong time on some of the defensive assignments, not there in position, not there to guard certain things. That's what Scotty said after the game, that the Kobe White 3 at the end of regulation was not actually Emmanuel's person to guard, that somebody blew their assignment and Manuel ran over to guard him as a cover-up and ran all out at him. And in some ways, he liked that Manuel was there to be a safeguard. But once again, Jack Armstrong said this is a 4-point lead. If they make the 3, that's only 1 less, and do not foul them. Well, he didn't really foul him. You could see it. Maybe from the view Ed Malloy saw, he's like, oh, he fouled him. But that's bullshit because there were so many other calls that did not get whistled that were way more foul-like during the whole entire game. Now you're going to get ticky-tack on that last shot like that. It sounds like Ed Malloy's trying to script right and do a ref hit job at the last second because, well, maybe it's just his nature. Well, maybe it's just his habit. Oh, the Raptors, the Bulls came back with enough time, and they're figuring it out and trying to come back and beat them in this game. Ooh, I'll help them. I'll put my little 2 cents in and ref manipulate right at the end and give this 4-point play to Kobe White. That's absolutely the wrong call. Absolutely the wrong call. And that without that 4-point play, without Ed Malloy giving the extra point to them, they don't go to overtime, and we win the game. So it's like a perfect storm of a lot of bullshit that gets the Raptors to an overtime loss to the Bulls last night. Bulls Nation, don't feel happy and get all joyous. Sure, the people that went to the arena enjoyed watching a roller coaster of a game, but in some ways, that's a hollow victory. And in some ways, everything that could go wrong to allow the Raptors to lose did. It did. Whether it's Grady missing one of his free throws, whether it's that phantom call that Ed Malloy ref manipulated at the end of the fucking regulation. I'm just saying. It's crazy, man. In some ways, I'm not getting mad at this, even though after the game I was pissed. It's just like, look, the Raptors controlled this game and kicked their ass the whole entire game. They absolutely outplayed the Bulls for the majority of the game and deserved to win the game, and they should have won the game, but they fumbled the ball at the end. And that's just the truth. And well, in some ways, that is benefiting certain needs for our team that's coming up with the ping pong balls. Okay, so be it. I'm gonna lean into the positive side of it. But notice I am wearing purple today, and that it was an absolute fail how that game went down. The players are still gonna feel it and feel like idiots, feel like failures because they couldn't close out a game like that. That's the problem. And that's why the announcers say at the end of the game, this is one of the toughest losses of the season because they had it. They were kicking ass. They did really good work most of the night last night. They deserved to get the win because they played very excellent for 3 quarters. And then they fumbled the ball in the fourth and absolutely did not show up for overtime. And that's the tough feeling of it. You can feel like, oh, we're controlling, we're playing so good. I feel good playing good. But that can all be taken away from you by the end of the game. And that's a lesson that young players need to learn. That you can't get comfortable and say, oh, we've got a 15-point lead. We're going to win. We're kicking ass. And just go on cruise control. No, you can't do that. This is the NBA. And these teams and these players that you play against are very, very high level. And they can come back. And they can do shit like a 4-point play by Kobe White with the assistance of Ed Malloy. Yeah, they can. They can. We'll do the stars of the game. We got the Instagram stories. We got the classic card. All the regular stuff. And I'm reacting to the 905 game also. Although I have to be honest, I didn't really watch the 905 game very well because both games were on at the same time. And the Bulls-Raptors game was top-notch, and it had my complete attention for the most part. But I did go back and look at the box score. I did my stars of the game for them. And kind of we'll talk about what happened with that 905 game also. Of course, they're playing today again against the Wisconsin Herd in Wisconsin. And I have the ref report for you right now. So, yeah, 7 p.m. once again, I think is around when they start. JD Rawls will be our crew chief this time. He's number 80. He actually has a profile. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. His first season as a full NBA ref, but he will be refereeing the G League tonight for the Raptors 905. His favorite TV show is Power. His favorite movie is The Forge. His favorite musician is Anthony Hamilton. He likes the book Die With Zero. He likes to eat shrimp pasta. He reads the Bible as an app online. Most like to visit the Maldives, and his hidden talent is sign language. So he knows American Sign Language, which is pretty awesome. JD Rawls enjoys traveling, visiting museums, reading, cooking, collecting sneakers, watching movies, listening to music, and playing sports. So, yeah, JD Rawls is the crew chief. Eric Alig, number 4, is the referee. And William McClatchy is the umpire, number 31. That's the ref crew for the Wisconsin Herd Raptors 905 game tonight, the second night of a back-to-back. For 905 playing the exact same team in the same arena. In the game last night, Justice Winslow and Terrence Davis did not play for the Herd, so we did not see them. But we did see former Raptor Henry Ellenson in the game. Speaking of, as JD Rawls is one of his hobbies is collecting sneakers, the Raptors did waive PJ Tucker yesterday, and he is free and clear to go join another team if he wants to. But this is good for the Raptors because it opens a roster spot, and it could very well be that we're going to hear an announcement today of a new player being added to the team. We'll have to see what the timing of all this will be. There's also speculation that by Blake Murphy that what they'll do is they'll switch Orlando Robinson from a two-way to a regular contract because he is technically one of our two-ways right now, guys. And one of the new players that they sign will get the new 10-day contract. And it could very well be, two-way contract. It could very well be that they reward somebody from the 905 level with a two-way contract with the Raptors for the rest of the year. And it could very well be Jared Rhoden. It could be Eugene Omoruyi. That those two are probably the most likely candidates. out of anybody on the 905 level. Maybe on the outside shot, Frank Kaminsky. I don't know. That'd be weird. That'd be crazy. All right, let's check in with you guys in the chat and see what y'all are saying this morning. Nameless is saying fantastic game last night. You know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I didn't like the outcome, and I didn't like feeling like the fumble of the game, the choke, but the beautiful way they played the first three quarters was absolutely entertaining, exciting, and fun to watch. Both teams were actually playing at a very high level. Not a lot of defense. The announcers were right. It's like lots of assists by both teams and a lot of baskets and a lot of going back and forth. Very high scoring kind of stuff early in the game with a lot of really cool plays. So the first play by the Raptors right away garnered a really easy layup for Jakob going down the lane. And it was a beautiful, beautiful execution of that play. There's all kinds of those kind of plays from last night where the Raptors showed real connection and chemistry, and they were really just humming in certain ways. Scotty, of course, being that intense leader once again in the game last night. So it was a fantastic game. This is totally legit as far as entertaining and watching. It's just we didn't get the outcome that some of us wanted, but some people did want this outcome. So in some ways, it's like, I'm like I said, I'm gonna game this. Whatever happens is positive for the Raptors because it's true. It is true right now. Whatever happens with them right now, it's going to be positive one way or the other. Whether they're winning and they feel good and they got the win, or they lose and it's helpful for the end of the season in the draft. So Kareem saying, "Oh shit, where's Trevor? Please read his comment before mine. It's always nice to start the stream with positive affirmations." All right, we'll start the stream with "Oh shit." Where's Trevor? Grebe, I love you, man. I hope you're having a great Saturday so far this morning. It's very cold in Ontario today. Very, very cold. And sad to find out yesterday that only 45% of the province voted in the election on Thursday. That's like 20% lower than the last election. And that was really dismal, 65%. And this is below 50% of people voted. This is so tragic and disheartening. And I appreciate everybody that was here yesterday saying, yeah, I went and vote. I went and vote. I wasn't going to, but I'm glad I voted. Well, y'all, I appreciate y'all. And everybody who didn't, oh my gosh, stop being zombies in your life and start taking more control over some of the things that you can control and take your right to vote and exercise it. Because 45% voter turnout is disgustingly low and horrible. In some ways, the surprise snap election worked because of that such low turnout. And the crazy thing is you crunch the numbers and there's a majority government for PC, whereas only 20% of actual voters voted for this government. So it's not a majority. It's like a fifth of the whole entire population because 60% of the population didn't vote and only 20% of it voted for PC, and they get a majority for it. That's not representative of the votes and the people. That really isn't. It's a convoluted system that rewards first to the finish line, and it's not working. Trevor's saying nothing kills you faster than your own mind. Don't stress over things that are out of your control. Yes, I've heard this. This is great words of wisdom this morning. I've heard this before. It's like if it's not going to matter 5 minutes from now or 5 years from now or 5 days from now, like why get all upset about it? That's true. We actually do more damage to ourselves by over emotionalizing or over obsessing about certain things, and they're not as bad as they seem. And in some ways you can actually be stronger and healthier by not ruminating on stress and anxiety and sadness and weird stuff like that. You have to stay positive and try and put positive things in front of you and feel and look positive, even if it doesn't seem like you should. In some ways, that's the best way to keep your strength, especially in times like now. Seriously, because there's a lot of ways to get stressed out right now, but in some ways you can't do specific things to do anything about it. Well, then don't let that stress eat you up. If you can do things, which is like get out there and protest, get out there and vote, get out there and share your story, get out there and try to do something, you can take the reins and do that. But if there's nothing you can do about certain things, you got to let it go to an extent. But, it's tough. It's tough right now. I get it. There's a lot of injustice going on right now. And people that know right from wrong are very pissed off right now because they know that there's a lot of bad things happening that aren't right right now. Trevor's saying lots of good and bad things happen. We should never let the bulls beat us after dominating the game all the way to allow the referees to put their nasty hands in the game to decide the outcome. Yeah, nasty ass Ed Malloy. I learned something about you last night. Yeah, you may not have intended to do anything to this game, but you're an opportunist. And when you see something like this happen, you're going to go ahead and execute your move. And that is a total bullshit call at the very end of a game to screw the Raptors over. And you know what? Also, I've noticed with Ed Malloy, when he screws the Raptors over, overtime is usually involved. It usually is. Yeah. There's a game a couple years ago with the Boston Celtics that he forced into overtime that we got beat at home in. There's a couple of different examples over the last 3 or 4 years of Ed Malloy screwing us over absolutely right at the end of the game. And this phantom call on IQ with Kobe White is one of them. I mean, like Jack said, it's more like when Kobe White tried to throw out his body like Trae Young and James Harden on their 3-point shots, and those used to be called offensive fouls. In some ways, it's not like IQ came at him and hit him. The contact, if there was any, it didn't even look like there was any, would have been Kobe White initiated because he was pushing his body forward into IQ. IQ was just standing there like the Statue of Liberty and wasn't trying to come at him. So it's an absolute horseshit call. And it's Ed Malloy keeping track of the points and saying, you know what? If I give them a 4-point play, it ties the game. We go to overtime. Well, overtime is good for the home team, especially when they have all the momentum coming back, the whole entire game being down. Then all of a sudden they tie the game and they go into overtime. Yeah, Ed Malloy's smart like that because he can split second, kind of do the calculations and figure it out. And he's like, well, I didn't realize I was going to come to Chicago today and get a chance to screw over the Raptors like I love to do. I mean, that's kind of what happened last night. Ed Malloy probably didn't come to the Arena United Center last night with the intention to screw over the Raptors. He's like, I don't care. This game doesn't matter. Both these teams are barely in the playoffs with the Bulls, and the Raptors have had a horrible year. So who cares who wins this one? But boy, Ed Malloy couldn't. He was tempted. He had to do it. Oh man, 4-point play, foul. You know the NBA is so physical right now. This is the stupidest shit. You should be letting people play at the end of games. You know, calling a foul at the last second of the game to decide the game on free throws is bullshit. It always has been. In the NBA, there was a common thread of you let them play at the end of the game. And if they make the shot, they don't. Don't bail them out with a whistle and give them a foul line trip. You know, we could look at the thing that happened with the series against Brooklyn with Kyle Lowry going in the lane in game 7, and Paul Pierce fouled his ass, but they didn't call it because they don't call fouls in a lot of these kind of games to decide a game right at the last second. Paul Pierce fouled Kyle. He could have gone to the line and won that game for the Raptors against the Brooklyn Nets in that game 7 way back. Well, that's what I'm saying. There was an unwritten rule, I thought, in the NBA that you don't blow whistles like that to decide the game, especially on ticky-tack, touch, phantom-ass calls that weren't even there. You know, there's how many calls were there where RJ went barreling at the basket? They wrapped his arms around him like a clothesline. They didn't call jack shit. So it's like, that's the thing I can't stand. Not only was it a phantom call that wasn't actually there, it's at the end of the game. It decided the game. And it also, the whole entire game, they allow a certain level of physicality with no fouls being called. And then they're going to call some phantom ass shit on Kobe White with Emmanuel Quickly there at the end of the game. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. But you know what? Their bullshit actually works in our favor in this way because now we can't tie with the Bulls at the end of the year. They're going to beat us in a tiebreaker no matter what. And it just helps with just eventual situations at the end of the year with records and things like that. And if we're anywhere near the Bulls, well, they'll be having less ping pong balls than us because of that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see. Let's keep going with the chat. Trevor's saying Grady's got the most threes, 114 by a player 21 years or younger in the Raptors franchise history. Yeah, I can see that totally happening. That makes total sense. It's his specialty, and he came in very young, and that's something he's consistently been able to hit for the most part. So I totally, that doesn't surprise me. Of course, when they talked about it on the broadcast, they weren't clear about it. They didn't really get across what the record was. Kayla was kind of all over the place, and I was like, "What did you say?" He has the most threes and what? 200 and what? And by who? In the league? Like they weren't clear about what the record is. So it's the most threes by someone 21 years or younger on the Raptors franchise history is the record. But it was totally confusing on the broadcast last night. They did not elaborate or clear up what Grady's achievement was from the game. And in fact, Emmanuel came in for the interview at halftime or something. And he said, Oh, that's great. He was just blanketly saying that's great about Grady. Grady's awesome and stuff like that. But I don't think he understood what the record was that Kayla was telling him either. He's just being media savvy and just like going along with it and saying, I love Grady Dick. He's an amazing player. He's so good. It was weird, man, that they did that. Another cool moment was, well, maybe we'll just do the Instagram stories real quick, and we'll talk about it real quick. First of all, Toronto Tempo Prez, Teresa Resch has got some cool little items. Everyone watches women's sports. Sports are for girls too. I love all that stuff. There's haters out there, and they're showing that at Toronto Tempo Gear has arrived at the WNBA flagship store. So they have our gear in the WNBA store now in New York City. So that's fantastic to see Toronto Tempo Gear in stock there. And then there's an interview with our new GM of the Toronto Tempo, Monica Rogers-Wright, and they're talking about Canadian athletes in the NCAA for women's basketball and how there's 135 women that are playing in the NCAA from Canada right now. And the future is so bright with Canadian women coming into the WNBA. Future's so bright. That's right. Grady Dick with a picture of him standing there. Grady, I'm going to have to say this, man. You did really screw us up last night. You know, I'm going to say you had some bright spots. You had that turnaround shot was absolutely high level, crazy ass shot. And I can't believe you made it, but it really showed something. And I know the future's so bright for you, and that kind of stuff is awesome. But man, you screwed up on defense a few times and late in the game. In some ways, I don't trust you in the game late at the game right now. And I feel like you and Jonathan, you and Shed too. Shed, when IQ fouled out and Shed came in, that was not good. Because those three guys, in some ways, are so green right now with high pressure situations like the one we were in last night that they fail in those situations. They miss defensive assignments. They don't get to the right places because they're young and they don't know what they're doing completely, and they haven't seen these kind of situations. So they got to be in these situations, and it's good that they're doing it this year. And we got these kind of situations going for. They're very, very fruitful for the future with experience for these young guys. But man, I don't trust any three of them in the end of the game right now. I don't trust Shed, I don't trust Dick, and I don't trust Mobo. And in some ways, I wish in some ways the guys who were out there at the end of the game were Pirtle, Boucher, quickly because he didn't foul out, and maybe even Jacoby Walter, honestly. Because in some ways, I trust Jacoby Walter more than those three guys I just named, even as a rookie, that he's not going to turn the ball over. He's going to make the right decisions because he's been doing that. It's crazy. He's passing up shots for better shots, even though he could be selfish and take them. So that's a weird thing. Like, I don't like Grady playing at the end of the game right now. Even if he has a 3-point shot that is helping us with the threat of it, he's a horrible defender at the end of the game. When things are really on the line, he will be the weakness and we'll get all fucked up. And that's part of the reason why the Bulls just scored like crazy on us. Those guys were weaknesses on our defense. Those three guys that I just named. Jonathan was messing up left and right on where he was supposed to be in the fourth quarter and in the overtime. And Jamal Shed was ineffective, absolutely ineffective, as soon as Emmanuel quickly got fouled out. And you know, half the fouls for Emmanuel were bullshit fouls like that Kobe White foul. They were fouls that weren't there. They were just him kind of being near a defender, near the basket. Some of them he did grab people to stop a basket, but some of them were bullshit calls too. And he should have probably been fouled out by that point. So yeah, I don't trust Grady in the game. Now I say play Grady if we're behind and we need 3-point shots and we need points quick. But if we're ahead and we have the lead, we don't need to be playing Grady at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. He's a defensive liability, and we don't need his offense. We need to put a defensive team out there, Darko, that will shut down the Bulls and stop letting them just walk to the basket and score baskets with no resistance. Because that's part of the reason why they came back and won, is because our defense went out the window in the fourth quarter, and we stopped getting stops. And we stopped getting any kind of control at that point. They said early in the game, whoever plays defense at some point in this game is going to win. That's what Leo Routon said before the game even started. Because in some ways, both teams don't necessarily have a strong suit in defense. And there will be a lot of up and down running and passing like there was. Who's going to play defense at some point is going to win the game. Well, the Raptors didn't get any stops in the fourth quarter. And I blame having those youngsters out there that just don't know what they're fucking doing in those situations. It is what it is. It's learning. It's worth it. It's valuable for the future. And that's the whole thing right there. They can go through these failures and these feelings. Grady, I hope you never, ever fucking miss a free throw like you did last night ever again. Such a crucial free throw. because, man, you're such a good free throw shooter. There's no excuse for you to go up there and brick the first free throw and 2 free throw attempts that would absolutely win the game for us. Seriously, you would have clinched the game if you hadn't missed that first free throw. So, yeah, I'm seeing red a little bit, and there's Grady coming into the game in the Bulls backdrop with a C red neon sign behind him. Yeah, some cool, interesting plays. Once again, Lonzo Ball had 2 big threes late in the game to help them win after not shooting well for most of the game. This is exactly what happened in the last time we played the Bulls. Lonzo Ball was crappy most of the game, and then he hits 2 huge threes late in the game to help the Bulls win. Well, happened again last night. There's Eugene Omoruyi with the stats from the game last night. He had a pretty good game last night. He is my star of the game. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on 70% shooting. Yeah, it's interesting. 905, we'll go over that in a second. They never really were winning this whole entire game. They were playing from behind the whole entire game, and they just couldn't mount enough a comeback. They got the lead down to 6 within 2 minutes to go, and they had their chances, but they fumbled too. They fumbled. They had to play a little bit more perfect to close it out and overcome the herd, but they fumbled at the end. They ended up fumbling, and it's too bad. Both teams double L's yesterday. It is what it is. What can you do? Here we go. We got Eric Smith on his Instagram, and this is what happened before the game that I thought was hilarious. Benny the Bull and Scotty Barnes were playing air hockey on the court. It was a USA versus Canada rematch before the game, and Scott's such a good sport. I love it. Scott's been so fiery and intense and kind of scary, to be honest, with the way he's acting on the court with his faces and like yelling and shouting. It's awesome to see him do something lighthearted with Benny the Bull and playing air hockey with him. That was hilarious. That was such a funny moment. Really, really funny. Of course, the announcers were talking about the rivalry between the Raptor and Benny the Bull. You know why? It's because Benny the Bull, in some ways, has been considered the top mascot in the NBA for a long, long time. And the Raptor wants that spot. And in some ways, the Raptor is one of the other mascots in the league that is rivaling Benny the Bull. So it's an interesting thing. They brought up the mascot rivalry last night on the air. It's really weird. Slim Duck has a song he's playing right here. It's Quavo, Trapper Rap. I'm not sure. Trapper Rapper. Yeah, pretty interesting there. Let's see. Norman Powell's got a friend of his who's wearing Understand the Grind. Some guy was wearing it out and about on the track. Cool to see that. Let's see what else we got here. What is this? This is Masai talking about sometimes you have to fight to get that success on Raptors official admin. It's not that easy to win. And he believes in Toronto, and Toronto's going to win a championship. He said that before, and it did. And he said it's going to happen again. So I love the Masai's belief in the Raptors winning more championships there. I'm with him. I'm with him on that. I'm totally with him on that. Let's see. Jay Nathan has got an ad on his Instagram telling people to come to the San Francisco Gonzaga game today. There's a college basketball game between Gonzaga and San Francisco, and he's telling all the people to come down and support his team, the Dons, on his Instagram. Let's see. Jacoby Walter has got a cool picture of him all fuzzy in black and white on his Instagram. Let's see what else we got. Matt Devlin has got Jack Devlin hitting a half-court shot. I love that. Jack Devlin, of course, is his son, and I believe he's an equipment manager. And, man, he did a trick shot, and that's awesome. What can you say? And also, happy birthday to Matt Devlin's dad, who they shouted out to on the broadcast last night. That was pretty cool. Jack to surprise him with a picture of his dad in the tangerine fan angle. That's pretty good. Garrett Temple's got an amazing picture of his wife, all pregnant, and it's just beautifully stylistically done. And it is on fire to see the former Miss USA there. And there's one of his children in the bed, and they're saying something funny. Let's see. Jamal Shed has got something from his old school, I think. What school is he? This is the Big 12 conference. I don't know what's going on there. Young Oach, of course, he twisted his ankle a little bit. Of course, after the game, Darko said that the x-rays are negative and Oshai should be okay. We'll see how he feels today and see what's happening there with him as far as physically. Of course, Shed got hit in the leg also. So really a couple of little physical hurts on some of the players last night. Scotty hit his hip again too last night, but he played through it. Yeah, Shed was okay. He was able to continue, but Oshai had to leave the game. We'll see where Oshai is with his ankle. I don't think it was that bad, and he should be all right. Hopefully he doesn't miss any time. We'll have to see. All right, there's your Instagram stories for today. Scotty playing air hockey with Benny the Bull. It's so funny. And then like Emmanuel ran over and like grabbed the puck and threw it into Benny's little goal. Or no, Shed was the one who did, not Emmanuel. It was Jamal Shed. He came over there. That was pretty funny. Pretty funny stuff. Trevor's saying that Kareem gets the flowers today. You know what? We'll give Kareem a dunk for getting to the spot before you, Trevor. That's right. He got to your place in the post. Then he beat you to the spot, so he's going to get the dunk. That's right. There you go. You got to get up pretty early to beat old Trevor to the spot. That's right. Nine. Wait, no, that's 12. 12 dunks for you now. 45 points for Kareem now. Bam. There you go. Trevor's saying that they have shut down Embiid finally for the rest of the season. We knew they were going to do this. I mean, I'd said they'd need to do this 2 weeks ago. Well, just do it and get it over with. And well, they did. And Joel is shut down for the season. People are saying that they hope he can come back and play at the level that he could play before. I don't know if that's going to happen. Seriously. This is the thing, man. You do enough damage to your knee, you won't be the same athlete. This happens to a lot of NBA players. They come into the league and they change. Blake Griffin is a good example. You can look at Blake Griffin and his early career in Lob City in LA with Chris Paul and all that stuff. And later on, Blake Griffin was shackled to the ground. He couldn't do nothing. Another good example from back in the day is Grandmama, Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson, amazing player for a while, but then he had back injuries. And he was kind of limited from getting up in the air anymore. And he changed his game. He had to change as a player. The thing about Embiid, though, with his ankle is that it's so important for his mobility in all kinds of ways. Now, if it was like Larry Johnson, he just couldn't jump anymore, or like Blake Griffin, you can still play it on the ground and still kind of play a ground game, but without any kind of high flying stuff. This is different. This is just the ability to walk. This is just the ability to get up and down the court. And Joel's an idiot. I don't like the guy. I'll preface this, and in some ways, I'm biased on this. I don't think he's gonna ever be the same as he was before. I really don't. Michael Grange is like, I hope he can come back and be the old Joel Embiid. I'm like, I don't. No, nothing's guaranteed in this life. And this dude's been careless. He's been careless with his body in his personal life because he doesn't take care of it, obviously, the right way as a health concern. In some ways, that's part of the problem is Joel is not totally the best athlete in some ways of probably taking care of himself. And then second, he's been reckless on the court, falling all over the place and hurting different people like Danny Green and other people. So it's like Jack said, you get what you get is what I'm going to say. Whatever happens with Joel is exactly what's supposed to happen. If he comes back and he plays really well at a high level again from these injuries, so be it. That's what's supposed to happen. But I could very well see him being ruined for the rest of his career at this point. You can only do knee surgeries on a guy and try and fix it a certain amount of times. You keep going in there and keep doing it. Well, you start getting Michael Jackson's face from too much plastic surgery. You cut everything away, the cartilage, the bone, everything. What is in there to work with? And Joel's knee is what I'm saying. How many knee surgeries has he already had? And it hasn't helped him. And now he's going to go in and have another one now. That's what I'm saying. That's just to me, that's what it sounds like to me. Is in some ways, this kind of stuff changes you as a player. And I don't know if he'll ever come back and be the same. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Yeah, Kareem's saying yesterday was either disgraceful or masterful. It all depends on what side of the fence you're sitting on. See, you know which side I'm sitting on. I'm not Tank Nation, but I can see how this is a masterful, ethical tank in what we did last night. I don't think it was on purpose, though, because you can't do this on purpose. You have to rely on Ed Malloy to screw you over. Well, we don't know if he's going to do that for sure. You have to rely on Kobe White to make the 4-point play and make the free throw. I mean, you can't really manipulate this in script writing for sure. It's just, a certain series of events happened and it did lead to this. So, hey, all right. Masterful, I guess, is a word for it. Maybe a little of falling into luck in certain ways for it to happen that way. I'm just, like I said, this whole season, instead of being all upset myself about it and working against it, I'm just going to flow. If we win, I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm not anti-winning. I want to win as much as possible. But if we lose, all right, like I said, I'm going to take the advantages of that outcome and roll with it there. And I'm not going to be upset because in some ways it is what it is. I am wearing purple today to signify the Raptors failed and choked in a huge way. And I'm wearing the very purple hat because 905 choked too. So it's like, we had double choke yesterday. I got to wear all purple. That's just the rules. It's always been the rules on this channel. When the Raptors look really bad, I'm wearing purple the next day. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying the lottery gods are in the Raptors' favor. Yeah, this helps. This helps. I mean, if there is a tie with the Bulls and us at the end of the year, they win it and they get the spot. and we get the more ping pong balls. So that's what they wanted, and that's what we wanted. Well, it's going to work out for both sides, I guess. Yeah. Trevor's saying that Cleveland overcame 22 points to beat the Celtics. See, I told y'all, I believe the Cavaliers are the best team in the East, and they will beat the Celtics in the playoffs this year and stop a repeat for Boston. And they beat them yesterday in a game. That's fantastic stuff. I love to see that outcome there. I really do. Stargate saying, I'm really, really interested in Lex's perspective of the game last night, from officiating to coaching to actual on-court gameplay and execution. Yeah. I mean, I think that if Masai and Bobby told Darko that he can't play Chris yesterday, well, I'm just saying, in some ways, they're guiding things from their level of the management in some ways. Like, why did you guys not play Chris? That's a big red flag to me. Especially like I said, Oshai went out in the first half. And what has happened this season, when somebody gets hurt in the first half and they cannot play for the rest of the game, he'll go deeper and play an 11th person because there's minutes in the rotation for the person that's out with the injury from the first half. So it absolutely set up in the logic of what he's done for the season that Chris would get the minutes for Oshai in the second half, but he didn't. Why is that? And, Darko very adamant after the game that Jakob is on a minutes restriction. And that is why we did not see him anywhere near that overtime or near the end of the game. I'm just saying, we could go out there and show a badass offense and passing and kicking ass with RJ, Scotty. I loved the starting lineup last night. Barbecue Yak Dick was awesome, and they were kicking so much butt. They didn't want to call it the team, the Barbecue Yak. They're calling it barbecues something. I forget what they called it, but they don't know about Barbecue Yak. I would say call it Barbecue Yak. Maybe call it Barbecue Yak Dick, but y'all probably wouldn't say that. You probably wouldn't. But I like that starting lineup. It's very good. But when Brandon is available to play for us eventually, Brandon's going to take Grady's spot in the starting lineup. But yeah, I thought that the starting lineup was badass. And I really do feel like RJ, Scotty, and Emmanuel and Jakob have really good chemistry off each other. There was some very high level passing in the first 3 quarters of the game, and they were finding each other and just really cool stuff. Unselfishness, just really smooth, elegant plays, amazing playing off each other. And that's something that I really enjoyed about the game last night, if not the outcome. Yeah. Trevor's saying, look up Tyler Bilodeau. Bilodeau? Who's this? What is this? This isn't a player, is it? You're not trying to get me to do a scout, are you? Is that what this is? Bilodeau? All right, who is this guy? UCLA? Oh, all right. Let me see. You don't want me to do a scout because you didn't ask me to do a scout. You just want me to look at this guy? I'll look at him for a second. I don't know. He's 6'9". He's a junior from Washington. He averages 14 points a game for the UCLA Bruins right now. Yeah, I'm not doing a scouts right now. I don't want to. I'll just look at him. I looked him up, Trevor. Okay, Carlos saying, morning, Lex and friends. Good morning to you, Kaloy. Good to see you, my guy. Fiercely saying, morning, fam, and happy Saturday. I'm beyond blaming the refs. At this point, we need to execute better when we lead and make them respect us. Turnovers and missed free throws give them ammunition. You're exactly right, Fiercely. We should have never let it get to the point where Ed Malloy last second ref manipulation of giving a 4-point play that's absolutely convoluted to Kobe White should never have happened, because we had double digits leads. We were absolutely running them off the floor. And well, in this fourth quarter, they let things down and they didn't do things right. Scotty was very lamenting that after the game. It's just like, we stopped doing things right in the fourth quarter. We stopped covering them the right way. They were getting 2 easy baskets. And then the stuff like we were causing turnovers and they were getting out running, and that absolutely killed us. And that's what Jack said would happen. He said that in the first half. That's why I think script writing is a little bit in there. And Jack's saying, oh, if they start turning the ball over and the Chicago Bulls start getting easy baskets in transition, the fans will get back into it in their crowd, and then they'll be able to try and win. Well, that's exactly what happened, Jack. Nostradamus. Are you telling us what's going to happen because you've seen the script? That's why I'm just wondering about that. But Fiercey's exactly right. The Raptors should have taken care of business and done excellence for the whole entire game. The first 3 quarters were fantastic. That fourth quarter stunk, and y'all opened the door and let them sneak back up and get in there. And Kobe White is that kind of talent. Before the game, they were interviewing Billy Donovan about the departures of DeRozan and Levine from the Bulls and whether they have a go-to guy for crunch time that's going to fill up the basket and help them to carry them to victory. Well, I think Kobe White's that. And that's what Billy Donovan said in the interview. He said, well, I think Kobe can do this for us. And well, Billy Donovan was right. because that guy came out there and did exactly that last night. Helped carry them, was very, very energetic and aggressive, and was very, very effective in bringing his team back to the victory in overtime last night. Yeah, it's how it goes right there. Fiercely saying Kobe White and his constant flopping annoys me big time. Also, his 3-point shooting motion is conducive to create fouls. Well, that's why I don't understand this call by Ed Malloy. Because if you're going to penalize Trae Young and James Harden for kicking out and hitting their arms out to try and initiate contact that's not going to naturally happen by engaging with the defender across into them, and that's what that looked like to me last night at the end of the game. It's not like Emmanuel came at him, but he sidestepped him and he didn't really try to touch him. Kobe lurched ahead and tried to get that contact to get that call, and he got it. He was successful. Maybe it was the angle that Ed Malloy was at. In fact, the camera angle was very similar to where Ed Malloy was standing. And from where he saw, maybe he didn't see that Emmanuel was nowhere near him in some ways, in the way the illusion is. But it's not, they're not going to go back there and look at it. You know, another thing I want to talk about real quick, because this has come up and there's been a graph I've seen recently that shows all the teams and their challenge success rate and which teams have the best success rates with challenges and which ones don't. Yeah, I'm going to say this right now. That stat doesn't need to be looked at because they're going to show that the Raptors are one of the worst teams at challenges. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, because New York's the best team at challenges, that it's absolutely an indicator of who they favor with bullshit. Seriously, you can look at the challenge win percentage thing and correlate it to, you know what, this is where the NBA makes their police reports how they want to from the challenge desk and talking to Secaucus and making their rulings on challenge successful, challenge unsuccessful. They can make up whatever the fuck they want. And I would say it's not really more indicative of whether the coach is good at calling challenges or not. It's more indicative of the NBA's favoritism for which teams they want to help. And, you know, the Raptors had a challenge last night. It wasn't a bad challenge, honestly, but Ed Malloy felt like being a dick and said challenge denied, unsuccessful. And it did hurt us because later on, there were a few calls that were really bad that if we had called the challenge, we probably could have gotten reversed. But that's the thing. There's a lot of power in denying a team their challenge being successful. You take away that right for the rest of the game, and they can reason however they want to do it. So people that are coming at the Raptors, maybe saying Darko's not a good coach because he always loses challenges. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, losing the challenges has more to do with the NBA playing favoritism than actually Darko's bad at calling challenges. Because, I mean, Thibodeau's win percentage with the Knicks is boosted by the fact that the league very much wants the Knicks to be very good, and they will help them. And on the reverse, the Raptors are going to lose challenges because they're the Raptors to a degree. And in some ways, you know, they disrespect them and they don't really want to help them. And in some ways, they understand losing your challenge rights for the rest of the game is a very big blow, like it was in the game last night. There were absolutely times later in the game where we could have called a challenge, we could have gotten reversed, it would have helped us. But, you know, and I don't, like I said, I don't think that challenge call that Darko called was wrong. It's just that Ed Malloy wanted to convolute and talk about how he interpreted it. And he said, yeah, this is still this call. And the Raptors challenge is unsuccessful. You know, they could actually make the same call of what he'd said, but still say that the challenge is successful if they like the team. Seriously. They said there's no foul or anything, but in this way, this is this, but it doesn't change the outcome. The other team's still going to get the ball, but the challenge is successful. And the Raptors retain their timeout and their ability to challenge later. I mean, they do this shit. It's like it's subjective in some ways. They can make the reasoning for whatever they're reasoning for the challenge, whatever the fuck they want, honestly. And half of what they're talking to Secaucus in New Jersey about is how am I going to reason this out to the crowd and talk about this and lay it all out in a way that we can make it plausible for how we want to interpret the NBA rules. You know, I realized this last night because I was thinking about it. It's like, this is fishy as fuck. Let's look at the teams at the top of successful challenges in the NBA, and let's look at who's at the bottom and think about what's correlated there. Seriously. Yeah, Kaz is saying good morning, Lex and crew. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz. Always good to see you. Mike is here too. Logical Raptors fanatic back in the chat. Good to see you, Mike. Project Truth always. Philly just got serious about their stanking. The Nets are wanting a spot too. It's going to get tight. Well, I don't care about what they're doing. I don't care. In some ways, I'm like the Raptors. I just care about what we're doing. And in some ways, Scotty don't give a damn about ping pong balls. He said this. I'm the same with him But if there's going to be manipulation around things with the refs or with our team not playing certain players in certain ways, like I've already talked about, so be it. But man, I was just looking at the calendar for March, since it's March the 1st now, and we have 15 games. And honestly, I'd like to win 8 out of the 15. I'd like to have a winning month this month. And I know a lot of people hearing me saying this are like, no, we can't do this. And some people's attitude is, if we're going to go through the pain of having a losing season, oh, we better get the reward of a high draft pick. But you idiots do not understand. There's nothing guaranteed on this. We could go through and this is not a thing. Once again, newer fans that think that this is a thing and this is just the rights of a team that doesn't have a good record, that you're supposed to get a high draft pick. That's not necessarily true. In the history of the NBA, there's been many, many teams that have had horrible records and not gotten a top 5 pick because of the lottery. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is just the way it is. And in some ways, we can't control the ping pong balls. And if there's going to be any Raptors fans that are pissed because we don't get a top 5 pick, and they're going to say, well, what was the whole point of losing this whole season if we didn't get a top 5 pick? You guys are idiots, because this is not a thing. And once again, newer fans have weird concepts about this and this and this should be like this and this. Bad teams in the past have lost out on high draft picks, and it has not been a huge failure. It's just been what has happened. If y'all want to characterize it or make it more bigger than it is in your own head and make it, I'm upset, that's on you, because I ain't going to do that. Because once again, I understand what we can control and what we can't, and the ping pong balls aren't something we can control. So it's so stupid to see like, oh, if we win, it's like going to hurt our ping pong ball chances. It doesn't matter. We're going to have ping pong ball chances going to be what they're going to be. And I'd much rather our team try and win and get games and feel good than to slouch and lose games on purpose all the time for the rest of the season just because some idiots in our fan nation want to get Cooper Flag. No. We have a really good schedule for the rest of the year. We need to try in earnest to win games, because if we don't, we're pulling punches. It'll not serve us later when we really do need to go all out to win. We can't practice any way other than trying to win all out. And, well, Chris Boucher doesn't play. Darko puts Jakob on minutes restrictions, and they can't play the end game. We can't close out the game and win the game. So be it. Then that's the way we lose. But I'm just saying, y'all, we cannot have this action. We cannot be mad if these guys start fucking around and winning more games than they lose, because this month is really easy. I was just looking at it, and I have a personal goal that I want the Raptors to win 8 of their games in March. Yeah, and that'll put them at 26, the number that I wanted. And that means they got the whole month of April still to add to it to get even closer to 30. So I want them to win more games than they lose this month, and that's 15 games, so 8 and 7 is the acceptable record for me. We had a winning record in January. I'd like to have a winning record in March also. I think that we should, considering the competition we're playing. So, yeah, we'll see how it all falls out. And, well, it's going to get tight. I don't give a shit if the Sixers are trying to plummet down. I don't care about any of this. Now, some Raptors fans are saying we want to be salty and stay low just so we can keep the Sixers from protecting their pick and not having to give it to Oklahoma City. In some ways, we got to stay below them so that they stay higher, because if they're in the top 6, well, they're protecting their pick. I don't give a shit about this. We should not be worrying about any of this kind of crap. Understand that the Sixers have been shown a very poor record of doing what they do in their front office with drafting. So who cares if they keep their pick and they stay somewhere up top? I mean, whatever. Some people say, well, no, that's going to add to what they have already. Well, like I said, there's no guarantees Joel Embiid's coming back anywhere near what he's supposed to be. So, I mean, we can't worry about all this. You can go worry about this and this and this and this, and then your head's full of a whole bunch of bullshit and it doesn't even matter. Just focus on what you can control and what you're doing and what your goals are with what you're doing. And that's what the players are saying. We don't care what other people are doing. We care about what we're doing and working on what we are supposed to be working on to progress and get better as a unit and as individuals. So I mean, it's easy to parse out if you really think about this all logically. You got to let Darko and Scotty try and win. If they can't win, if they don't win, if there's some weird ass shit like last night, well, we'll talk about it the next day. And I'll say, well, we managed not to win this game, even though we played 3 really, really good quarters of basketball. It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't care what New Orleans is doing. New Orleans is winning more now. I don't care what Philadelphia is going to do. I don't care what Brooklyn's going to do. I don't give a shit. I want us to just be on an island on our own. We don't even look at any of them. We don't worry about where they are. Because last year, there was a little bit of this whole thing where we were like, we got to stay underneath Memphis to try and keep our pick because of Jakob's trade in the first round, whatever. I didn't care about that shit before. I could tell though that the Raptors were kind of managing around those kind of aspects with the standings and figuring out where exactly they were in relation to the Grizzlies last year in the standings. And it may very well be that this will become a watch for the rest of the season, the standings watch, and where we are in between everybody in our place to get more ping pong balls. But in some ways, I don't care about any of that. Just like Scotty, we don't care about ping pong balls. We're going to go to the games. We're going to try our best. We win, we win. If we don't win, well, it's a learning experience and it helps out in that aspect of what I just talked about. So we can't lose either way. Reggie's saying it's concerning to me that the Raptors make it so hard on themselves. Scotty Barnes not being aggressive constantly. Brandon Ingram will be a godsend. Yeah, Scotty was asked about this by Grange last night after the game. It's like, Scotty, you were so aggressive earlier in the game and getting so close to the basket and making such great layups and dunks and shots. And he even asked him about that last shot he took. And, the mistake was that he didn't establish enough post close to the basket. It's just like what they said. He was too far away from the basket and he spun away from the defender in a weird way. And of course, he hit the backboard on that last second shot that he tried to take in regulation to stop the overtime. Yeah, it wasn't the best shot. It really wasn't. And in some ways, what happened was Scotty said that the wrong person came and gave the pick. There was a little bit of confusion at the end of the game and in overtime with who was supposed to do what. And once again, I'm gonna blame those youngsters being out there in crunch time when they're not ready. They're rookies, and Grady is also still kind of a rookie to me because in some ways he had a half year that he didn't really play last year. So he had a half year in his rookie, and he's had 1 year now with a half year already. So in some ways, he's very much at that level of experience in closing out games in high pressure situations like the one last night. And these are the guys that are missing on who's supposed to set the pick, who's supposed to guard this person in this switch. And that stuff was happening, and the mistakes were being made by those young players. And Scotty said on that play, it got screwed up because somebody was supposed to set a certain pick and the wrong person set the pick, and it didn't happen the right way. I mean, he should have been closer to the basket. In some ways, somebody would say, well, they guarded the inbounds pass on RJ really, really tough and made it hard on him. And he was getting close to a 5-second violation like Jacoby got earlier in the game. That was a problem. Jacoby was too lackadaisical with rebound the ball, inbounding the ball, and he got a 5-second violation for not inbounding it fast enough. Well, that's a real issue at that moment at the end of the game because the Bulls had a very tall defender on RJ. He's trying to get it in. And well, Scotty had to come to him away from the post to meet him to successfully get the ball. The impulse is, I got to help RJ. 5 seconds coming. I got to get there. And that's why he was so far away on the baseline for that last shot there. So it's tough. It's tough. In some ways, they could have drawn a better play, and somebody didn't do the pick right, is basically what happened. That's what Scott said after the game. Let's see. I think Scotty could have taken initiative in the overtime to be more of the guy and trying to carry us. But alas, it didn't happen. And I think that part of that was that Emmanuel fouled out. That, the synergy is just so good with Emmanuel out there, and it's more confident, and he knows what he's doing. And once again, it's a drop off with Shed. Shed just does not have the experience yet in this kind of situation to rise to the occasion and contribute in ways like getting the baskets. He took a three, he missed it, and setting other guys up too. He's more likely to make a very bad pass and throw the ball away than execute it in those kind of situations, high pressure right now. It's just how it is. He's young, he's learning, and he's going to get better, and he's going to fix this stuff. It's just he has to make these mistakes when he's presented these kind of situations for the first time. Well, I guess get him out of the way in a rebuild year where we care about ping pong balls is what we're saying here. Yeah. So we're saying Scotty and RJ can figure out who to be the second and third option. I don't think that that's going to be like a mandatory thing night in, night out. I think that hierarchy will switch around every single night. One night Scotty may very well be the go-to guy at some point. Listen, I'm going to say this, Reggie. Scotty's showing all the signs that he will be a go-to guy and be able to carry us. It's just that it's weird. His journey as a player in his fourth year, there's been little glimpses, little previews all along of seeing what's possible with him in the future. And we're getting more and more previews. It's almost like we haven't gotten any of the established, this is who he's going to be, like really going to be. He's showing more and more new stuff and adding more and more to it. And man, the stuff he's shown in the last month is so overpoweringly good because it's all near the basket and it's so good. And it's the stuff I was telling him in his rookie year. It's like, Scotty, you go down low, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you in this league if you're down low. And he's proven it. He's proven it. And like I said, there's so many, every single game he has a shot that looks like Kawhi would have shot it. He has a move that he looks like Kawhi Leonard does this same damn shit on the West Coast for the Clippers. And that's the thing. Scotty's learning those. He's showing those little things. He's letting the cat in the bag that he has these skills and he can do these. He's just got to focus and understand. And more, he will be able to concentrate and do it more in higher pressure situations when the stakes are higher and everything like that. It's all part of the learning and coming up as a 23-year-old in this league, man. So I think that Scotty will be a number one option on certain nights. But Brandon will be nice when he gets healthy. And maybe he teaches him some of that action and that mentality and shows it on the court. And Scotty's like, wow, I really like how Brandon just took over the game and did all that stuff. I'm going to try and do this now more myself. That's part of it, man. These guys are going to teach each other and they're going to get better at different things. And hopefully Brandon will be an influence for this. Now, one night it could be Brandon's night and then RJ's second and Scotty's third, like you're saying. But it could all shuffle around and Emmanuel and other people can be involved in the hierarchy of the top three players for the Raptors every single night. Yeah. James is saying the Lakers looking like they can be contenders after this Doncic trade. I think this is inflated and bullshit. Seriously. I mean, in some ways, they're going to do some level of ref manipulation to help them. I think that their win over the Clippers last night, I didn't see the game or understand it. I think it may have been slightly manufactured because it's a storyline they're going to try and help. So the red carpet's rolled out to help the Lakers as much as possible because they don't want Luka and LeBron to be a flop. No, they don't. So it's a high percentage chance that they are helping them on the down low with rep manipulation and stuff like that. I didn't see the game. And I know the Clippers have lost games in the last month that they shouldn't have lost, like one to us and a couple other teams than when they came out on the East Coast trip. And they are susceptible. And that may be more indicative of this, is that the league's helping the Lakers and the Clippers are just a slacker team some nights. And they're not playing to their best ability. So I'm not willing to give this right now because still I look at their roster and I look at their makeup and that's not a team that's going to win the playoffs. I'm sorry. That's not a team that can win in the playoffs. They don't have any size up front. And Luka and LeBron are going to be exposed in the playoffs more so in this situation. This is not a better team than the Mavericks that went to the finals last year that Luka's on right now. It isn't. So I'm going to disagree with you, James, respectfully, because I don't see this. I really don't. Let's see. Mike saying, laugh out loud. Yeah, when the refs are on their side, the Lakers ain't getting the same calls in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. It could very well be they do give them calls in the playoffs, though, Mike, because they want to manufacture the storyline. There's a lot of money involved in Luka and LeBron and the Lakers being successful. And Adam Silver knows that. So any kind of way he can story write that kind of script for the NBA, he will. So he's going to help them full out. Because in some ways it'll look stupid if this move happens and the Lakers still suck. So there's a lot invested in this. And I wouldn't put anything past Adam Silver absolutely holding the Lakers to prop them up and get them as high as possible in the standings and get as far in the playoffs as they can. But I'll bet you they will fail. And they may even fail in the first round because I don't think that they're a good playoff team overall because they have those two guys. They have Austin Reeves. After that, what do they have? They don't even have a real center right now. They got Alex Len, right? They're in trouble. Yeah, they're in trouble. They're not going to do anything in the postseason. Mike's saying something's wrong with Kawhi. Not gonna lie, he was missing free throws in his shot lift where he dips instead of jumping. Isn't there, and he's missing mid-range bunnies. Damn. Well, I hope he's not hurt on the down low, but he might be. Either way, people are going to have off days, but that does sound like there's something he's dealing with injury-wise from what you're saying right there. Carlos saying, did you guys see the shouting match in the White House? That was crazy to see. Now at least we know Orange Man stands with Putin. We always knew that. He's always stood with him. That, you know what? I don't want to talk about this too much, Kaloy. And once again, I mean, I know I will talk politics, but in some ways, some days I don't want to talk about it at all. I just want to ignore it. That whole exchange at the White House yesterday, and I don't know why Vance was there. In some ways, that was part of the plan. They didn't invite any of the AP to cover it. They did invite a Putin-friendly media person who's not even supposed to be in the White House, apparently. And it was a total setup. In fact, I could see Vince McMahon talking to Donald about this thing that they did yesterday and said, this is what you do, Donald. You antagonize him and act like he's the problem. And then you get favor so you have reasons to do this and this to Ukraine. And then you can do this. The energy around that whole thing was middle school bully bullshit, primary school, grade school bully shit. And the tactic that Vance used is with all respect, when somebody says some bullshit like that, they're coming disrespectful. And they used a tactic that when I was a kid, bullies used on me when I was a kid, trying to say, "Oh, you need to respect us. You need to be respectful of us." I'm like, "I'm not doing anything to you, bro. I'm not doing anything to you." It's like, "No, you should be saying thank you to us for what we're doing." I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know you, bro. I ain't got nothing to do with you, man." It really was like grade school fucking bullying tactics that those idiots used yesterday. The funny thing is that, like, look, with their supporters, they're going to be like, "Oh, those guys are badasses. Look at how they treat them." But everybody else in the world sees it for exactly what it is, and they're full of shit. And that's the crazy thing. So it's a sad situation. And a lot of Americans were extremely embarrassed by the president and the vice president yesterday for how they acted. Zelensky was a badass, honestly. I think that he's amazing. He went in there in a very difficult situation. He was very courageous, and he handled it exactly right. And he even trolled them afterwards. He went on X afterwards and he said, "Thank you to everybody who's given help and aid to Ukraine in this unjust war that when Russia invaded Ukraine." He gave everybody kudos. He gave France, Germany, every single country. Say, "Oh, did I not thank everyone for helping us in this situation? Oh, I'm going to thank them." And he did it into their faces too. He said, "You have not said thank you to us." I was like, "What is this power play? This bullshit. Kiss the ring, motherfucker, King Donald. Bullshit." I mean, look, he said thank you to you right to your face right then. Oh, okay, well, I'll say thank you. I've said thank you many, many times. It's like, I don't have pride in this bullshit like you assholes do about kowtowing and saying thank you and appreciation for something. And you just want me to kiss the ring. I'll do it because it saves Ukrainian lives, because he cares. He's a good leader. He cares about his people, and he's willing to do that for them in that situation, even though he's dealing with psychopaths and idiots and fucking narcissists that want to be kings and dictators. So it's like, Zelensky, you're a badass. I have even more respect for you because of yesterday and the way you handled that fucking horrible incident right there. It was so stupid, man. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this stuff too often. We can't do politics every day. It'll really make me mad. And I'd rather talk about basketball. In some ways, I will talk to you guys about when I feel like it's necessary. I was planning on maybe talking about this Kaloy, so it's all good. But man, I kind of don't want to cross this line too often because there's way too much I could go off on. And I'll add to my stream another hour just going off on all the tragedies and horrible things that Trump is doing right now. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. Jill's here. Good to see Jill's back in the chat. Morning, freaks. The game was good. Then the end got weird. We still need a backup Jakob. Well, Orlando Robinson's our backup center. It's not easy to get centers in this league, Jill. That's something we've learned since Serge and Mark left. And that time, we've had a really hard time keeping centers around, whether it's Koloko, all the different people we've had come in. So, I mean, I'd love that too. Maybe it's Common Malak, but Orlando Robinson's the backup center right now, and it's a bag of mixed good and bad. It's a bag of mixed good and bad. That's right. Mike's saying we need to replace what Koloko should have been by now. Common Malak. If we don't draft a center, we look at a third-year team stunted content that's mobile and shoots, in my opinion. I don't even know what you said there. Oh, you wrote the word center with M on the end of it. Okay, we look at a third-year team stunted center? What the fuck does that mean? A third-year team stunted center. That doesn't make any sense to me, Mike. That's very specific and a weird term I've never heard. I've never heard. I don't know exactly what you're saying here, Mike. I'm sorry. Smooth saying at Mike, Leonard will never be the Terminator he was in Toronto. He's what he is now, playing hurt with sporadic games of who he was. This is a similar thing to Embiid. Like, Kawhi has had so many injuries and so many different surgeries that, he's degraded his body. And the pinnacle of his career was in Toronto. The absolute best year of his dream season of his career was in Toronto. It was only 1 year. And that's his fuck up, man. You fucking left that Dr. Alex, Kawhi. You get what you get. Once again, you had it so good in Toronto, and you fucking turned your back on it for stupid ass reasons. And well, you get what you get. And that's what happens now. You left a repeat championship on the table with the Raptors. And you're an idiot. You thought that we weren't good enough to repeat. You dumbass. We had the best record in the league, and we could have. And you didn't need to leave. And you leaving and not getting the attention of Dr. Alex McKechnie, well, that's what you get. That's what you get. And all the injury results since, well, if you had been in Toronto, you probably would have had better outcomes and would have been in better shape at this point in your career. Well, hindsight's 2020, Kawhi, and you'll never know because you made a dumbass decision with Uncle Dennis. You should have Kawhi'd and dined and stayed right here in Canada. And, well, it's your damn fault. It's your damn fault. That's the whole thing right there. That's right. Fiercely saying, and Bozo should have rested in the offseason. But no, he had his Team USA agenda. No sympathy for me. Yeah, I don't even think it's that. I think he's just damaged goods no matter what. I mean, seriously, he brings it on himself. The way he tumbles around everywhere and falls on the ground, that can't be good for his body. Being a flop artist has been bad for him in a lot of ways because of this. It's like James Harden showed up, taught him how to flop, and he's like, "Oh, I like this, James," but he overused it. He overused the flop that he learned from James Harden a couple years ago. And at this point, he's damaged himself from falling all over the place and damaged other people too while he's done it. Yeah, he didn't need to go play for USA. That didn't make any fucking sense. And now, whatever. You get what you get. Once again, that's a theme here. That's a theme. Mike's saying, yeah, in my opinion, I think he can't practice all of his shots anymore, especially to be like elite. He's a guy that needs to keep his shots, not be a Terminator. In my opinion, the reason why he won't play hurt is exposing. Okay, yeah, I don't even know. I haven't watched enough Kawhi. I can't espouse on this in any kind of deep way like you're doing. I'll just stand on what I said about Kawhi already here. Kaz saying that minutes restriction is such bullshit. The thing about Jakob, yeah, I mean, it is true though, but also in the same way, it's like that is bullshit. Because if the game's on the line and you want to win the game, put your best players out there and your defensive guy to hold the team off from scoring in the fourth quarter. Hello. In some ways, ethical tank. The way we've done it is been to short staff us with our center. That's what we did in Tampa. We did not have a center, and that really hurt our record for most of the year. Last year, Yaka was out for a good chunk of the second half of the season, and that really hurt our record in ways that with the ping pong balls last year. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I agree with this. I think that it's a very fishy minutes restriction in this situation. Smooth saying Raptors Twitter is weird, man. Fans celebrating losses and talking about trading for Joel Embiid. Those aren't real fans. Those are jabronis. Those are idiots, honestly. Let's go do the stars of the game. We'll do that real quick. My star of the game for the Raptors game last night is Scotty Barnes. 10 of 19 shooting. Most of this stuff was inside the paint. He did make a couple threes, 2 or 3 from 3, made both his free throws. Fantastic. That's something that was talked about during the game by the announce crew that, Scotty makes his free throws. He should be trying to go get fouled more because that's a really easy way to pick up a lot of points. And that's true. But he needs to be aggressive and get the contact. He may not get the calls right away, but they should come around and start giving him more calls on free throws. In some ways, that was down low. A problem last night with the manipulation. They got 5 more free throw attempts than we did. And Ed Malloy, it's totally all about that. 3 offensive rebounds for Scotty, 8 rebounds altogether, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 24 points, and he was an even plus minus. So he wasn't in the minus, he wasn't in the plus. Yeah, 24 points in 36 minutes. I like it. I like it. In some ways, once again, I say, Scotty, you could have 30 points if you take over the overtime in the fourth quarter. That if you're able to do way more at that time, well, get to 30 points at that point. Seriously. But yeah, it's a great game by Scott. And a lot of it is, once again, his excellence in executing and making really high percentage shots and being aggressive, getting close to the basket. This is something we all really like, and it's very, very good for the future. Very, very good for the future. The second star of the game to me is Pirtle with his minutes restriction. He was the hub. He was very smooth. He was a lot less clunky than his first game back. In the game last night, he was making less mistakes, and they were opining about how great he was during the middle of the game. It's like, yeah, Jakob's amazing, and he's doing all kinds of good stuff early. He was a plus 12, which is the highest plus minus on our team. And once again, we just had the point. It's like minutes restriction. The guy is the highest plus minus. He's our best defender, our best rebounder, and you're going to hold him out when we have a lead in the fourth quarter because of a minutes restriction. He only played 22 minutes, 5 of 7 from the field with 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, a plus 12. Yeah, I would have loved to see more Jakob Poeltl late, and maybe you could have fudged on the minutes restriction just because you wanted to go and win, or maybe that wasn't part of the plan. That's what I'm saying right there. Boucher and Poeltl tell you what you need to know. Emmanuel Quickly is my third star. It's too bad that Emmanuel fouled out. I really feel like half his fouls were bullshit calls. They were not really fouls, and he was just kind of going with it. So when he fouled out, that really hurt us. Because he's the most the point guard with the most leadership, and the switch, like I said, to Shed is not equal or right at this point. Manuel did really good from 3 in some ways. He was 6 of 16 from the field, 4 of 11 from 3. 4 threes is really good. 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, a plus 9. He was a plus 9 also with 23 points. So when Emmanuel was on the court, we won. When Yaka was on the court, we won. I'll give an honorable mention to RJ Barrett. Even though he didn't have the best game, there were some things that he messed up on. 8 of 19 from the field. He didn't shoot as well as he could have. 1 of 4 from 3. Made his only free throw, though. 7 rebounds, 8 assists. I love the 8 assists. He led the team in assists. And RJ's just becoming such a great playmaker this season. It's really, really good. 3 turnovers, minus 24, though. That's why I didn't give him a star, because he had the worst plus minus of all our guys. And in some ways, old Knicks fans and people that don't like RJ will say, well, there's his Achilles heel. He's not a good defender. And in some ways, he's allowing people to score. I mean, there is some truth to this. 18 points for RJ in the game. Yeah, 18 points for him. I'll give another honorable mention to Grady Dick. There's a mixed bag with him. There was some things I really liked that he did in the game, like that turnaround shot was super impressive. And, the hustle and stuff, but he did make some very bad mistakes in this game too. 4 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. I love the open shots and the threes going in. 2 of 4 at the free throw line. And that one free throw, I'm telling you, that would have won the game, Grady. You can be blamed for losing this game. Seriously. 9 rebounds, 1 assist. I love the rebounding that Grady's been doing recently. He really has been dedicating to crashing the boards. 1 turnover, a minus 12 with 13 points in 35 minutes. He makes a couple more of those shots that he takes. He's a little bit more efficient with his shot percentage, and he gets his stat average up for scoring. And that's what we want. That's what we want. Off the bench, Orlando Robinson, probably the best player off the bench with 12 points and 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds, 4 of 11 overall. He hit that 3 late. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Orlando Robinson 3 going to be the thing that's going to be one of the big key shots to help us? Because he hit that 3 in the overtime. And I was like, holy crap, that's not what we want, but I'll take it because he made it. Corner 3 from Orlando. 3 for 4 from the free throw line. 3 assists, 1 block. Minus 16, though, with 12 points in 24 minutes. Yeah, Darko said he did a good job in some ways, but he also didn't do a good job in some ways. Very, very honest about him in the post game. Oshai was only out there for 1 minute, and then he twisted his ankle. He did hit a 3 and got 1 3. It sucks. People keep stepping on other people's feet and rolling their ankle a little bit, and it looks so painful. Like when it happened, I was like, oh crap, we don't need this. We do not need this. But like I said, Darko said that the X-rays on Oshai's foot or ankle are negative. There's no break or anything. It's just he twisted it and he's got a sprain. So there's no broken bones or anything. So thank God that. Shed, like I said, was ineffective last night. In some ways, he's a good stopgap, but this is an area where I would rather have Davion still around. Like in this situation where Emmanuel fouls out, that's when I want Mitchell in there, especially because we had the lead and he's a defensive-oriented guard. Jamal has been really good this whole year, but in a couple games in this last week, he has been really bad, and he's shown that he is a rookie still. He may be beyond his years, and he may be learning faster than most people, but he's still going to make the mistakes at each level of the NBA as far as intensity ratcheted up. Here you are, Jamal. You're all of a sudden playing in an overtime game because Emmanuel fouled out. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to help them win? And, well, he didn't really do a whole lot. 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a minus 17 with 5 points and a turnover. Jacoby Walter, 3 for 7, missed his only 3-point attempt, made his only free throw, 3 offensive rebounds for 4 rebounds. He was really getting after it that one play. Holy crap. The Raptors were relentless on that one possession, just keeping the ball alive on their side without losing it. Oh, my gosh, that was so good. 1 assist for Jacoby, 1 turnover, plus 2 with only 7 points. Like I said, I would have preferred Jacoby getting the late game minutes over Grady or Shed. Seriously. But he wasn't the one they chose. It's just the thing about Jacoby is he's shown such measured smarts about taking care of the ball and also really smart with his shot selection. Those are 2 things that will get a lot of trust with a person like me and his coaches. Is that we see that he doesn't turn the ball over carelessly very often. And also, he's not a selfish player that's going to jack up a bunch of shots just because he got the ball. He's like the anti-Gary Trent Jr. It's like he gets a ball. He's very cognizant of whether it's the good time for him to go up with it himself or pass it out. And he's very patient on it also. That's the crazy thing. So, man, Jacoby Walter is something else. And if you're going to play any of the young guys late in the game, play him. Because he's going to make good things happen. Trust me. In some ways, those other guys are missing assignments, and that's a problem. So there's your box score check. Look across the other side and give kudos to Kobe White for getting 24 points and leading his team to victory. A double-double for Josh Giddey, almost a triple-double, 19 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds. And then Kevin Herter off the bench was helpful for them too in getting back in the game. 4 of 8 from 3 with 15 points. He was a plus 13. Yeah, they had a double-double from Zach Collins too. I really think from Zach Collins is kind of bullshit. We don't want Zach Collins doing stuff. He was their plus 28, the highest plus minus for the Bulls. He's a scrub player. I don't understand this. Why is he leading them to victory with a double-double, 15 and 13? Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened. That's Zach Collins, for Christ's sake. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Mike's laughing. Trevor saying smooth. The WWE pay-per-view tonight. Yeah, they had SmackDown last night here in Toronto, and they're going to do the Elimination Chamber here in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena tonight. Yeah, 7 p.m. There you go. Mike's saying Pirtle is the anti-stank commander based on depth. If we limit his minutes, then it would be enough to not win, but still have everyone going full out. They are playing well at the moment, in my opinion. I see that too. But still, I don't agree with this. I mean, in some ways, I hate manipulating the games to try and lose. I really do. I wish we had played Pirtle. I wish we had played Boucher, and I wish we had played Walter late in the game. That's what I would say about that. Cat's saying, you don't see me. Okay, John Cena. It's so funny is his catchphrase, you don't see me, but his name is Cena. I seen a Cena. But you don't see me. Oh, okay. All right. Fiercely saying OG Anunoby hitting a winning shot against the Grizzlies. It was nice to see him show emotion. Okay. OG had a big shot for the Knicks. All right, cool. That's pretty cool. I didn't see that because I don't watch everything around the league. But yeah, let's see. I jumped ahead. Let me make sure I get back to where we were. Where is this? Holy crap. There's a lot more here than I thought. Oh, wait. I've skipped over some stuff. There we go. Okay, here we go. Mike saying the Cena prank phone call to buy the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Laugh out loud. I don't even know what you're talking about. Kaz saying, should I watch the Elimination Chamber? I haven't watched in years, but now that it's on Netflix, I'm tempted to watch. I mean, if you're already paying for Netflix and you got it, you don't pay extra pay-per-view charge, maybe, if you don't want to do that. I mean, if I had Netflix, maybe I'd do that. Maybe I'd do that. You know, when you say the Elimination Chamber, to me, it sounds like a toilet. Like, oh, I'm going into the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, I was in there this morning when I woke up. So we said, why not? It's fun. Why not? Why not watch it? I don't know. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to be busy. I'll watch Wisconsin Herd game tonight. That's what I'll watch. Cass saying 10-4 smooth. I heard it will also be Cena's last match. So John Cena's going to have his last match ever as a wrestler in Toronto. Well, we know that this is always bullshit when wrestlers say that they're going to have their last match. It's just historically always been that. Ask Terry Funk. Ask Ric Flair. This is my last match ever. Yeah, I don't know. I won't believe this. I don't believe that ever when wrestlers say this is the final match of my career. They are lying when they say that. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. Let's see. Smooth saying 2025 is John Cena's retirement year. The Chamber will be his final match in Toronto. So he's going to continue to wrestle this year. Okay. All right. Mike saying Luka shot 40% from the field and 33% from three, but got 11 free throw attempts, and they're pushing Luka to get 20, 30 plus. Shaking my head. Yeah, I know what's going on with that. Yeah, I know what's going on with that. Smooth saying I remember those bullies. Yeah, that totally was in the Oval Office what was happening there. It was cringe, and it's honestly, basically, it's a setup. You know, they're going to do some really evil shit when it comes to Ukraine soon. And in some ways, they're like trying to act like they want to help him, but they don't really want to help him. In some ways, it's kind of like, hey, I want to be your friend. But you know what? You don't look right. You're not looking at me right. Why'd you look at me funny? You know what? I'm going to hit you in the face instead. You know, they act like they're friendly. Oh, I'm a nice guy. But wait, you slighted me just now. Now I'm going to come at you in this kind of energy. You know, they just wanted a reason. Sometimes you go to a bar and somebody was like, you looking at my girl funny? You looking at my girl? And then all of a sudden you're in your face. That's the energy that those guys had yesterday, Trump and Vance. And in some ways, they're trying to manufacture reasons for why they will stop helping Ukraine and allow Russia to just take them over. You know, Trump's trying to say he's a peace president. Bullshit. You're a genocide president, and you're also a corrupt president, and you're somebody who's going to hand over a country that had its own freedom to a country that invaded it and is in the wrong and committing war crimes. Yeah, that's all it is right there. In some ways, he wants to normalize or be okay with what Putin does because in some ways he wants to do what Putin does. And that's why we should be worried up here. That's the thing. In some ways, the birds of a feather flock together, and Trump and Putin are very similar. And in some ways, his affection for Russia and having Russian reporters there and doing all kinds of crazy shit, like kissing Putin's ass like he has the whole time, it just shows everything you need to know about Donald Trump and how he's not really the president of the United States. He's a puppet for Vladimir Putin, and he's destroying the United States from the inside for Vladimir Putin. Now, the crazy thing is, in the long run, with all of this, and this is what I'm going to say right now, and a lot of people may disagree with me, and that's fine. And I know I may piss some people off. Capitalism is broken, but communism is winning. And they don't want to tell you that. You know why? Because China is the world leader around. It's not the United States. It's official. The United States has basically committed suicide on itself with the Trump administration and MAGA, that they're not the world power that they are anymore. They're not the big dog in the world. It's China, and it's coming up real quick. And the thing is about China is they have communism. And communism means they have a safety net for the society. They have infrastructure. They take care of their people. They may have human rights abuses, but the United States does too. Let's not get all holier than thou. The United States has human rights abuses just like China does. But China has the best crop of scientists coming up. They have students that are actually learning. Their education system works. They've built high-speed rail and have infrastructure. They're ahead of everybody. And what's going to happen because of Trump and what his bullshit is that China's going to rule the world next. And honestly, it's proving that communism actually works because that's what China is. They're a communist country, and their people have better health outcomes and better all kinds of other stuff in some ways than the United States right now. The United States is all for capitalism, capitalism that, capitalism that. Well, China's beating y'all, and China's beating y'all with a communist system that takes care of people. That's part of the thing of communism and socialism is the programs get everybody at the bottom. They make sure that their kids get fed right in China. They make sure their kids learn things in China with a good school system. And that is really a great investment for them. It's going to make them number one in the world because they have the most innovative science. They have the most innovative all kinds of stuff right now over the United States because capitalism starves that shit. When it's all profit driven and it's only about red ink and bottom line and bullshit like the stock market, well, there's no innovation. There's no ability to put money into research and go. And in fact, he took all the money away from researching different things around the country already. They're going to be devastating blows to them in the future, and China will rise up and be in charge. I'm not against that. In fact, I think they may do a better job of being the number one dog in this world than the United States. In some ways, they may be more humanitarian in certain ways. So, hey, whatever. I'm going to declare it right now. Capitalism is a failed system, and the United States has proven it today that oligarchs and billionaires can take over that country and destroy democracy. Well, that's not a real system anymore. Capitalism has destroyed it. And in some ways, China is doing the best in the world at everything right now. And they're a communist country. So that's just the damn truth. You don't have to agree with me, but that's just the straight facts. And you're going to see it in the decades to come as the U.S. has shot themselves in the foot with some fucking greedy ass fucking Elon Musk running and destroying their government from the inside out. And Putin paid for this. He wanted this. This was the long-term plan, and he's been successful. Russia's won the war with the U.S. because he got Trump elected twice, and he's managed to absolutely destroy that country from the inside out. It's sad. It's sad. It's pathetic. And the United States people are idiots for allowing it to happen. They're rubes, and they got conned. They basically got conned by Putin and his Manchurian candidate who's in charge of the United States right now. This doesn't surprise any of this. Doesn't surprise me. It's all perfect timing too. Putin waited to invade Ukraine until Biden was president so they could blame Biden. And while he's in there, oh, I'm already in here. And well, Trump's just going to come up and he comes back into the presidency. And Putin paid a lot of money for disinformation and misinformation on social media to allow it. They proved that when the election against Clinton, that the Russians manipulated social media to get a lot of backing for Trump. And it's continued. The MAGA movement is built on Russian propaganda. And well, they paid for it and they got what they wanted. And they're destroying the United States from the inside out. And it's so sad. The United States has been defeated by Russia because of Trump. It's just the damn truth. And people don't see it. Well, you're not opening your eyes and you ain't looking at it. That's right. Kaz is saying this might be a hot take, but I secretly don't want Kawhi to win. Fuck off for the rest of his career. Who wins a chip and then dips instantly? Fucking clown. I'm on the fence on this. I'm okay with him not ever winning again, but in some ways I see the merits of him winning again and that being a really good thing because it puts him on a level with LeBron of winning 3 championships with 3 different teams. And that's the only reason why I was kind of hoping for the Clippers for that. But I think you're right. I don't think he will get it because in some ways he's showing just like Joel, he just doesn't have it anymore and he may be done now. G saying these games show me more and more how valuable Yak is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've noticed also that when people start talking about how we need to lose people, it's because they're very good. And people are saying, oh, we don't need Jakob Poeltl. They've been saying this for a couple of years now. And I'm like, can you not see how important he is? This people are saying that we don't need Jakob Poeltl on our team. They're not our fans. They're not people with us. They're people from the outside that see how good he is for us. And they're trying to pull strings and try and get him an exit because maybe the fans will turn on him or they'll listen to stupid rhetoric and be like, oh, Jakob sucks because he can't shoot threes. No, I really believe this. And that's part of the reason why the action is coming at RJ right now is because we see what RJ does for us and he's amazing and he's doing all this stuff. People hate us. They're like, they need to get rid of RJ. So let's just start putting campaigns out there on social media that RJ needs to not be on the Raptors or slight him or have people start saying, oh, we need to trade RJ. Like this person who came in this chat the other day and started talking about, oh, RJ's got to go. And he got what he got from me after that. So I'm just saying that seems to be the action. It happened with Siakam and Anunoby too. Think about when Anunoby started getting all better and stuff like, oh, OG can't be in Toronto. And they started talking more and more about how OG needs to leave Toronto. It's an action that we need to be aware of and understand. And if we're fans of the Raptors and we value winning and wanting to have people like Jakob and RJ on our team, we should push against this. But if you're somebody who wants to carry that flag and go with it, well, and to me, you're not a fan because you want our good players, our players that we want and are good for our team to leave. Well, you sound like a Celtics fan or a Knicks fan that's acting like a Raptors fan on social media and saying, oh, we need to get rid of Poeltl. We need to get rid of Poeltl. I'm telling you, there's this kind of shit going on right now. It's just like Trump being a puppet for the Russians. There's going to be people around our fan nation that don't want good things for us that are putting out absolute crap in our fan nation areas, like Joel Embiid to Toronto, that kind of shit. I'm just saying, G, you're right. He is very, very valuable. Mike is saying, explaining third-year center that has been development stunned by their team. A guy, why has it got to be a third year, though, Mike? That's so fucking specific. Could it be a fourth-year center? Could it be a sixth-year center? I mean, seriously, is it because of where they are in the rookie contract? Is that why you're saying it that way? I mean, I guess that makes sense. A guy with a low price tag but more upside if we don't take a ready backup center in the draft. Yeah, it just seems really specific. I was like, I've never heard this term, a third-year center. Like it's a special thing. They're just centers. They're in different years. Orlando Robinson's a third-year center. He actually fits what you're saying right here. This is exactly what Orlando is, Mike. A low-price third-year center that has been stunned by other teams, and we're trying to do something with them. That's exactly what this is. Nameless is saying, Lex, this world is in big-time trouble, my friend. That's all I'm going to say. I know. I'm worried about this too. I'm glad I have contingency plans. In some ways, I feel very privileged because I do have different plans that I can do, and I'll be all right. But man, I worry about the masses. I worry about all kinds of different people in different places. Yeah, I'm crazy. I have all kinds of ways to figure out what I'm going to do just in case the shit hits the fan. But I'm just saying, man, we got to pray every day for peace and love and understanding and empathy and sensitivity and humanistic ideals instead of capitalistic. Money is the root of all evil kind of bullshit that people want to follow these days. Because that is the war. The war is between the root of all evil, which is money, versus people, just people in general. And in some ways, one thing is real and one thing isn't. One thing really isn't real. It's just something we made up, and it's a bullshit game of Monopoly that's absolutely rigged at this point and is absolutely disgustingly used for graft and grift from the masses at this point. So yeah, I'm with Nameless. I'm worried. I want things to get better. I want to see some revolution. I want to see some changes. I want to see some nipping it in the bud. But sadly, people are apathetic, lazy, and they don't get activated fast enough. It's going to get bad and worse before they actually do get up off their ass and do something about it. And that's the problem right there. Wayne's saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. I missed the first hour, so I don't know if there was a rant by you. I have a rant against our 2 point guards. IQ is missing IQ regarding defense, and Shed behaves like he's good. Like he's good. Okay, good to see Wayne. That's not really what my rant was today. I was saying this about the point guards that it really hurt when Emmanuel fouled out and Shed came in. There was a real drop off in experience and ability to do things to help the team. And I would have loved if Emmanuel hadn't fouled out. I blame Emmanuel fouling out though more on the refs. I really do. I don't know if I can get mad at Emmanuel. In some ways, he did a lot of things right, and even that foul at the end of the game, that wasn't right. That wasn't a right call. He didn't really do anything wrong, but Emmanuel took accountability for it after the game. He said, "You know what? I should know better. I'm a 5-year player, and running out at him like that, I shouldn't have gone anywhere near him." And that's what Jack was yelling. Let that man just shoot a three and make the three, but don't give him the 4-point play. That was a huge mistake. That was a mistake. And if Emmanuel made a mistake by being in proximity to him, but like Scott said after the game, he said Emmanuel was covering up somebody else's mistake. He wasn't supposed to be guarding Kobe, and he ran from somewhere else to come over and try and contest. And in some ways, Scotty gave him kudos for covering up a mistake by somebody else that wasn't done. So I don't know, Wayne. I'm not mad at the point guards. Jamal's young and he doesn't know what he's doing exactly yet, but he knows a lot already at a fast pace for where he's at in his career. It's just that, these situations, he has to get thrown into them and see just what they feel like. And, he'll do better and better every time he gets one of them. So I'm not mad. There was no rant about this. I don't even really think I ranted today. I just kind of matter of factly laid it all out, how this all went down and kind of the contributing factors. Mike's saying Pat Bev said Kawhi is the hardest working guy in the practice court he's seen while talking on teammates Braun, Giannis, etc. Kawhi isn't a natural scorer build. He probably needs to practice a lot, in my opinion. I don't know why you're obsessed with Kawhi today. We don't need to talk about Kawhi so much, Mike. I don't know. In some ways, you get fixated on one subject and you just overkill it for the whole entire stream. I would like to move on from subject to subject. In some ways, we've talked enough about Kawhi. It's not like we're playing the Clippers anytime soon. Matter the bad calls. We had it and can't understand. You lead by 4, you let them have the 3, the ball with seconds left. That's his homework to work on. Terrible on defensive assignments. Well, I hope what I just said kind of elaborates it, that wasn't his assignment. Somebody messed up their assignment otherwise. And Scotty said it after the game. He said Emmanuel was making up for somebody else's mistakes and he was coming over and closing out. And honestly, he didn't really close out recklessly. He didn't really touch Kobe White. And if you go back and listen to me kind of break down that play, Kobe White did a James Harden, Trae Young trying to initiate offensive contact, and Ed Malloy bought it. And this is more Ed Malloy's proclivity to want to screw the Raptors over and seeing a very opportunity, a sudden opportunity to screw the Raptors over. He probably wasn't going to get that chance, and he shouldn't have. You're right. Grady hits his free throw. We don't have this problem. Ed Malloy felt, yeah, this feels good. I screw the Raptors over all the time. I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. 4-point play. It's a foul. It wasn't a foul. It shouldn't have been called. And I really elaborated why that foul was really fucked up and stupid, because they're letting all kinds of physicality the whole entire game. And there shouldn't be foul calls right at the end of the game like that to help decide games. You're right. Nobody should have been near him. And in some ways, Emmanuel will take accountability for being in proximity to him. But honestly, he didn't do anything wrong. And even Scotty said that looked like a fine closeout. It didn't look like he fouled him. So it's a weird situation. There's a lot of moving parts in this whole thing. And in some ways, the results of the game, it pisses off people like you and I because we want to win. But in some ways, the results of the game are perfectly fine for the Raptors too, because they're going to help us with where we end in the standings at the end of the year. The tiebreaker with the Bulls is done. They have the tiebreaker. We get tied with them at the end of the year. Well, we're in a better shape for the ping pong balls. And that's kind of what they wanted right there. That's right. Kaz saying, I love Jamal. He's just so inconsistent. Yeah, I think that he can be inconsistent to an extent. I think that in some ways he's had ups and downs like anybody would in their rookie year. And he's had amazing stretches where he's been absolutely top notch and playing above his experience. But we have to also remember he's still a rookie. And the other thing is, once again, these rookies are hitting rookie walls at different times during the season where their energy is not as top notch because they're used to college season and not an NBA grind. And that's part of it right there. Yeah. Smooth saying, I don't think winning really matters to Kawhi, in my opinion. He's happy being home. Yeah, that may be right. That may be right. Different guys have different priority lists, and that may be right. That may be very right. Mike's saying he's limited to a certain amount of practice, in my opinion. His defense is still there at times, but that mid-range game there isn't there anymore. All right, once again, you guys, in some ways, I don't know. We don't need to talk about Kawhi. He's not on the Raptors. We covered him a little bit, and in some ways, he's actually not even involved in anything with the Raptors for the rest of the seasons, guys. I mean, we can talk about him as past the Raptors, Well, we're really hitting a dead horse right here. There's nothing to really go over with them that's new here, guys. Let's see. Smooth saying Brandon Ingram is 27. We're getting him in his prime. Very excited, man. Toronto hasn't seen his level of dynamic since Vince, in my opinion. I really love, you know, this is the thing. If there was question about whether Kawhi wanted to be here when we traded for him with DeMar DeRozan, I didn't have any question with Brandon because he's shown up and he's very engaged. He's very involved. He's really taken to Raptors culture. The game day fits coming in. He always seems like he's very professional and ready to come in. You see during the game, he's engaging with the teammates, talking to them, talking to Ulrich on the bench. He comes over during timeouts and he watches the plays Darko's calling. So he's very engaged and he's very much observing and taking it all in. And I'm sure he's starting to visualize and think about his place in it and how he can contribute to the best of his ability to help the Raptors win. And I love that. I love that a lot. And you're exactly right, Reggie. This guy is just entering his prime right now. And in some ways, a lot of the lumps of developing and maturing and learning the NBA are all past him already. And in some ways, he's had an injury-prone season this year that he wants to get past also. So I'm sure there's a lot of gumption and a lot of things that Brandon wants to do to prove that he's still a very, very good NBA player in this league. And that in some ways he knows being in Toronto is a great home for him to do it. The other thing about Brandon he's very happy about is Toronto's a global city and he does have intentions to become a global brand ambassador, like superstar in this league. And he opens up markets in China and Europe and different places like that for him and endorsements. That's part of why he's here too. So it's a good thing for him all around. And he's definitely engaged and involved in the team, even though he has not played a single minute for us yet. He's definitely involved in all that. Yeah, it's very, very awesome. Jeffrey Jordan Flynn. I don't think that's his middle name, right? Signing a contract with the Charlotte Hornets. This is probably when the Hornets trade LaMelo Ball and build around the Little Red Rocket. But I'm just speculating. You are hilarious, man. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I saw that Malachi got signed to a 10-day. He's on the Hornets now for 10 days. We'll see what happens there. I mean, that's not anything to be totally celebrating about. It's still the Hornets. It's still a 10-day. But, I mean, I guess the Hornets were in a bad place, and they want to go get old Red Van Vliet from the Austin Spurs for a little while on a rental. Go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to hate on this. In some ways, it's a funny little note. It's kind of like Jalen McDaniels going to the Wizards. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Interesting stuff there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Trevor's saying WWE pay-per-view is on Peacock. It's not on Netflix. It should be on Netflix. That's right. Cass saying, I wonder if Malachi's dad will be harassing the Hornets to give his son some more playing time. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe his dad kind of learned. Eric Flynn's like, yeah, you can't do this, Dad. You're messing up my life. And somebody's calling my coach Nick Nursery. That didn't help anything. Seriously, don't do this. I mean, I don't know. Has he been doing this anywhere else since he left? Did he go to New York and tell Thibodeau something? And then they traded his ass to Detroit? Did he say something to the Detroit coach? And then the Detroit coach played him and he got 50. And he's like, see, I told you. I don't know. I don't know how much Eric Flynn's in the ear of everybody in the league, at least not publicly anymore, like he used to be. So he's saying Peacock is only in the United States unless you have a VPN. Okay, Netflix in Canada. All right. I don't know what's going on with any of this WWE pay-per-view stuff. Mike's saying, Lex, if you haven't heard the John Cena prank call, you should check it out. It's funny. It's pretty famous, not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't watch wrestling. I don't care about wrestling anymore. In fact, I'm going away from even caring about classic wrestling like I used to. John Cena's from an era that I didn't watch. I know. It's crazy. I saw the very beginning of his career until they consolidated all the companies, and I stopped watching in 2003. I'm sure it's a funny little clip. They do all kinds of fun stuff like that, but I don't care. I really don't care. It's a joke on You Can't See Me, and that's what he does. I mean, that's his thing. That's his thing. I don't know if I'll ever watch it. I don't care. I really don't. I'm not a big, huge John Cena fan. It's all totally lost on me. Totally lost on me, over my head. I stopped watching in his heyday, and none of the stuff when he was a champion did I watch or anything. I quit watching in 2003, and that's it. I didn't watch wrestling ever since. And not watch it since. And I'm not going to watch it tonight either. Way saying Jamal Shed has started to play with measured constriction. But after doing that, he's regressing due to overconfidence. He's a rookie, and that's his saving grace. Anyways, he's ahead in development. Yeah, I think overall it's all good. And the negative and the bad stuff and the failure is a part of the process. And it's okay. One of the big things that he's done recently that has upset me the most is when he lofts these crazy passes across the court and they just get picked off. He had one last night where it was a really, really poor choice. And he's not the only one doing this. There's a couple of these young players. Grady had a long court pass that was really dumb and got picked off really easy. These guys have to learn about that. They make very reckless long court passes or across court passes. Or even earlier in the season, Jamal was throwing passes that were way too strong or high, and they were going past people too. So he's got to rein it in. This may be an area where he needs to focus for next year, along with this 3-point shooting getting better, is pinpoint passing and really getting smart about being savvy about whether a pass is smart or not in the split second, depending on whether there's a lurking defender that's ready to jump in the passing lane and steal that shit. Because a lot of the young Raptors in recent games are getting their shit picked off because they're being careless with very far long passes. Some of the passes aren't strong enough. They're too soft and people are just running up and grabbing them. And some of them are just ill-advised, poor decisions that they shouldn't be doing. And I've seen Shed have at least one of these kind of passes every single game, once, every single game. Some games he has a couple of them. I'm going to say that right there. Let's see. David Sandoge has been around since Clinton Gore era under the name Rigo. Interesting time. Yeah, I don't know, David. This is weird. You're going to come in here. You're never here, and you're going to come in here with a political comment. Well, I wish you come in here and talk Raptors. I don't know if that's confrontational, what you're trying to do. Either way, I'm going to disregard your comment. If you want to talk basketball because you want to be here for basketball, we'll do that. But right now, you're not a regular person on this channel, David. So let's talk basketball before you want to come in here and maybe confront me on politics. Because listen, I'm not going to take any standing for Elon in here either. And if you want to go the way of Bradley, you can go that easily. Because seriously, I'm going to tell you right now, David, you being neutral on this subject, to me, I don't respect that. I think that you need to pick a side. And if you are going to be on that side, you might as well just be clear about it. Instead of saying, oh, I care about nature, I care about people and stuff like that. Well, if you're a supporter of Elon Musk, you do not. You do not. Because I'm going to say this right now, all of the environmental regulations that they're rolling back right now go against one of the things that you care the most about, David. And that is park rangers taking care of parks so that they're not overrun by people and destroyed. There's all kinds of stuff that they're doing that's horrible for the environment. So I don't know how you can support a person named Elon Musk or even tell me that, oh, I don't think corporations are evil and stuff like that. You're an idiot, David. I'll say that. And obviously, if you want to be in the channel, come talk to me about basketball. But don't put your foot back in the pool with an asinine political statement. How about that? I don't give a shit if I piss you off just now. I really don't. Because you're flaky as fuck is what I'm going to say right now. Trevor's saying, thanks, Smooth. So y'all get Netflix and we get to watch it on Paycock. Yeah, I mean, if you have the thing where you can be anywhere, it doesn't matter where you are. You can do it on either one. There you go. Let's talk basketball, David. How about that? How about that? All right. Let's see. Where are we here? Wayne's saying Canada's system is the best combination of both and common sense. Yeah, I agree with this. I think that capitalism, straight capitalism with no regulation, is absolutely irresponsible and is anti-human. And there's a lot of people that want that. And that's what they're trying to do in the United States right now. And it's not going to work. In fact, they're going to do very serious damage to that country for a long time. Honestly, it could really echo out for like a century how bad things are going right now with what they're doing. Some people say, oh, they're cutting government waste. Well, maybe some of that is good, but some of the stuff they're doing is very vital. And the other thing they're doing is they're politically witch hunting. I don't know if people understand what they're doing right now, but Biden signed some clean air initiatives. And this is talking about David's little thing that he cares about. Once again, he's wrong on. He signed a lot of stuff for clean energy that he wants to implement. And it was all signed and there were grants given and they've already started it. And well, what is Trump and Elon doing? They're coming back and they're investigating the people that are involved in it. And they're treating them like criminals. And they're saying, how did you get this money? And what is this money? And they're rolling back all kinds of stuff for green energy efforts. And specifically for low income areas around the United States, that they were going to do some things to help with climate change, but they don't believe in climate change because they're anti-scientists and they're dumbasses and they're mega pieces of shit. So everything that's either DEI or climate change oriented, they're rolling it back and they're stopping it. And in some ways, that's irresponsible for the whole entire world, not just for the United States. So don't give me this crap, man. Seriously. That's what I say about that. Yeah, I like our system to a degree. I think that our voting system sucks and our representation isn't right, but the right mix of socialism and capitalism is what we need. It's, you can have a capitalistic some of it, but it needs to be regulated heavily in certain ways. Like billionaires should not exist. If you get to a certain point of income, all of the money you make above that should go right back to the people around you and the society and everything. And, there's a way to do it correctly, but greed rules. And greedy people have little sycophants like David Saborin. They're going to just like kiss their ass when, it's stupid. I don't understand why you're trying to tell me, oh, corporations aren't bad. Elon's not bad. You're full of shit, is what I'm saying, David. So, yeah. And I don't care if you ever want to talk to me again. Seriously. I really don't at this point. You've been so flaky in the last 6 months. All right, let's keep going. David is Monique is saying, good morning, Raptors Recruit. We got Monique, the super fan Lawrence in here. That's right. Versus the Raptors, the refs versus the Raptors, 16-point lead with the 905-2. 905 need to get it together. Better days. All right, let me do the stars of the game for the 905 game, which was a disaster. It wasn't even close. Like, they were losing the whole entire game consistently, the whole entire game. The star of the game for me was Eugene Omoruyi, 32 minutes, 7 of 10 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 4 of 7 from free throws, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, 23 points for Eugene. You know what he was doing? He was working in there. He was one of the only Raptors 905, it seemed, from what I saw, that was really getting anything done. A lot of the other guys were super ineffective yesterday. The second star of the game, I'll give it to Evan Gilliard, who's had a couple of strong games in a row. 30 minutes for Evan, 5 of 7 from a field goal, 2 or 3 from a three-pointer, 10 assists with only 1 turnover. That's really, really good, ethical, efficient point guard work by Evan. And he put in 12 points also in 30 minutes. So Evan Gilliard, my second star. Third star of the game is Jared Roden, who's been fantastic. He's still on that 10-day. It just ended yesterday. So we technically have 2 spots open that we can add 2 new players. And they may happen today, actually, where we get 2 new players added, whether it's somebody from 905 or somewhere else in the G League, or maybe even a free agent that's out there somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, Jared Roden, 8 of 17 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 20 points with 2 turnovers, a -2. Not a stellar game for Jared. He could have shot better, but this is what we're dealing with right now with how bad they played. Frank Kaminsky, a -22, but he did have a double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 13 shooting. Also, AJ Lawson, not horrible. He was okay. Honorable mention for him. 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, made his only free throw, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, 15 points for AJ Lawson in the loss. And off the bench production was pretty poor. They only got 20 points off the bench. A couple of goose egg guys, Tyler Perry with a goose egg, Tyreek Key with a goose egg, and a -23 in 15 minutes. Really, really bad. Charlie Brown, 5 points in 20 minutes with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. And Kennedy Chandler, 4 for 9 with 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. And then Quincy Guerriere, 2 of 5 from the field with 6 points and 1 rebound. Yeah, just very poor bench production. The Wisconsin Herd had hardly any players playing. They only played 8 guys. They did not have Terrence Davis, and they did not have Justice Winslow. Both of them were sick. But Henry Ellenson came in, former Raptor, and got 21 points on a +27 with 5 assists and 8 rebounds, 8 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. 5 turnovers also for Ellenson. Yeah, and Moody was their main scorer with 33 points. So they had 4 guys with over 20 points on the Wisconsin Herd. 20 points for Akinjo, 33 for Moody. Thompson had 22 and 21 for Ellenson. So, yeah, they had 4 guys that really kind of carried that team the whole entire game. It's too bad. The 905 could have made the comeback and won the game at the end if they just played a little bit tighter. They got it down to 6, and they had their chances within 5 minutes to go. But they didn't execute right, and they made some failed turnovers and stuff like that. And alas, it is what it is. It is what it is. It be what it be. And it's too bad. Yeah, Mo, I was disappointed with the 905 too. And I know it's hard for us to watch both games because they literally were on top of each other for pretty much the whole entire games. And my priority was to watch that Raptors game, especially the first 3 quarters, because it was beautiful. The first 3 quarters of the game were beautiful. All right, we have No Name is back again. I remember No Name. No Name was here before. If that was a foul, then they should have called a foul on Colby for running over Grady Dick on his 2-point shot. Dick made with 1.10 seconds, 1.1 seconds left in the fourth. They got to call both ways. Yeah. Totally right. And this is a ref manipulation. There was that call, and there was also a foul on RJ that was absolutely ignored late in the game that would have given him more free throws and us more points. Totally right, No Name. I don't even know how to give you a dunk. I want to give you a dunk right now. I'm just going to write your name as No Name, and you're going to get your first dunk because this is true. This is some bullshit. The way that went down, Ed Malloy absolutely ref manipulating the game, and he didn't have to. This game didn't matter. He just felt like it, just to be a dick. Honestly, I feel like that's what happened. He just wanted to do it just to be a dick. Honestly, Mike's saying, "Sorry, Lex. Yeah, the open gym and Raptors doo had me checking on Kawhi. I thought it would be relevant to say he's lost things and looking, he's done. I don't mind it once. I mean, make a comment once or twice, but I don't want to do like 4 or 5 comments just on Kawhi. I think that's what I mean. You fixate on one subject sometimes on my stream, and you make a common thread for my stream that I don't necessarily want to make. And in some ways, Kawhi is okay to talk about, maybe touch on for a second, but it doesn't need to be like a half hour of my content. Is basically what I'm saying. Name is saying America is fueled by corporate greed that can never be the best interest of the people. It isn't, because it's not humanistic. It's not about thinking about people and what they need for their needs. It's about what the shareholders' needs are. It's about black and red ink. It's about a crazy ass idea that every company should make a crazy increase in profit every quarter. And if they don't, they're unsuccessful and people get fired. So the impetus by the people that are in these companies is to cut corners. And the way they cut corners to show that they've made more profits in those quarters is by cutting wages, is by cutting benefits, by cutting staff, by cutting quality for product, by shrinkflation. There's all kinds of cheap, dirty ass ways that big corporations are robbing us and doing things in the wrong direction just for the whole idea of making the profit shareholders happy in their quarterly meetings and say, oh, well, we did this and this with this company, Amazon, and we made this much more money for people like David Samorin. And that's why David cares, because he has stocks in Amazon. So he loves the racket because he personally profits off of it. And that's why he's been so like mad at me for talking bad about Amazon. Well, I'm just saying, Amazon makes all their money and most of it goes to Bezos. And people like Gerald, who worked for Amazon, he can tell you exactly how poor they are to their workers. So the whole idea of it is insidious and cancerous, and it will eat itself because it's not sustainable. You cannot have a crazy increase in profits all 4 quarters every year, every year, every year. It's manufactured, and somewhere somebody's getting hurt because of it. And that is the thing about it right there. Nameless is exactly right. Corporate greed is destroying the United States, and it is going to destroy the world eventually if it's not checked in the right places. I'm saying it right now. Yeah. Nameless saying, but everybody accepts it because they're tricked people into thinking they can have a piece of that pie too. Well, they do. They give them a little piece of it. You know, they're going to offer $100,000 to Albertans to join MAGA. You know, people are trying to be bought off. They want to be bought off. They want to live their life and insulate it and say, no, this is all good and right and just because I'm okay and I'm making my money and I'm all right. That's selfish as fuck. And that is not right, because there's a lot of people that are suffering out in this world that don't need to, because people want to have an extra yacht or 3 houses or shit like that. See, it's just immoral, and it's not Christ-like, and it's definitely not the way that our creator or the person that made this world with the bunnies and the trees and the plants and the insects and us wanted this to happen. This is unnatural. And that's why I say it's even satanic to a degree. It's a absolute opposite of Christ and God and the creator. It's a man-made devil creations is what corporations are with this situation. That's right. Sheep. Well, the other thing is, you're right, Nameless, is that people will stand up and defend what they've always just known, even though they think it's just right because it's just what we've always known. Well, why tells you that it has to be this way? Why does it have to be this way? It doesn't have to be this way. There's other ways of doing things. In fact, they very much hide what they do in China from us because they know some ways they're doing it better than us, but they can't let that storyline come out that maybe some of the communism of what China is doing is actually working better than the capitalism, what the United States is doing. They'll hide it. They won't even talk about the successes that China is having with high-speed rail, with life expectancy outcomes, with healthcare outcomes for their people. You know, everybody, they paint China as some crazy backwards place that they don't know what they're doing over there. They know what they're doing, trust me. And they're doing it way better than we are here. And India too. India is coming up with them, and they have bigger populations than we do, and way more people, and way more going on. And the U.S. deserves to lose its spot because of what they've allowed to happen at this point. And in a lot of ways, Vladimir's fingerprints are all over what happened in the United States. Seriously, it's all Russian plan and executed. Krasnov has been an extremely successful project for the Russian KGB agent named Vladimir Putin. Very, very successful code name Krasnov. That's right. Very, very successful. Sheep. Sheep. Don't be a sheep. That's right. Capito. Capito bean. Capito bean. What does that mean? Capito bean. Capito bean. I don't know what that means. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. Why is no one calling out Scotty? The last play in the post, he was doubled. RJ was wide open for the 3, and he refused to pass to him. Okay, so we're talking about the play where he was on the baseline and he spun away and he was too far and he hit the top of the backboard. Is that what you're talking about? Maybe. I think that in some ways they wanted to call Scott's number on that last shot in regulation and give him the opportunity to be the hero and have that spot. And in some ways that's the right idea because you want to have kind of the designated person. But you can make a case about what you're saying that maybe you need to go off script in that moment and do it. But we've got to remember there's only 4 seconds. And there wasn't a whole lot of time to collect and maybe get a pass in and for have that person to make that shot. So it's easy to go back and kind of, do it quarterbacking afterwards, Monday morning quarterbacking, but you don't have to on this. You really don't. You really, really don't. Kaz is saying, because Scotty saw him bricking all those crunch time shots early in the season. I mean, it is true. In some ways, RJ has had a mixed bag with his 3 shots going in or out like lately. He hasn't been making them very well lately. Him and Emmanuel have not been totally playing their best in the last 2 weeks. They've been kind of they could do better. Let's just put it that way. They could be sharper and they could be doing better in certain ways. I think RJ's playmaking's been top notch, but he's not been converting his shots correctly with making shots. I'll say that. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'm going to just skip David, and we're going to say goodbye to David now, guys. Because honestly, David, you're very half-assed about being around for the channel. You say you want to do this to help me, but I don't see you. You're never, ever here, man. And it's disappointed me, man, because I was relying on you. And I told you if I was going to give you this responsibility, I wanted you to help me. And you dropped the ball, man, honestly. I know you're a busy guy and you got other things, but I wish you had never asked me to do anything with me with the trivia. I was perfectly fine doing it myself. I didn't need your help. I kind of did that because you were all so interested in the channel. But I would say this, if you want that responsibility, you need to own up to it and do it. And you have not done that at all this season. And I don't give a shit about a trophy. I don't give a shit about anything else. I don't give a shit about anything. I'm crazy. And in some ways, I'm just like, you know what? You can come in here and try and argue with me about Doge and Elon and corporations. I just don't have the time for this shit. Because in some ways, you're just as bad a bootlicker if you are like that as Bradley is for MAGA, is basically what I'm saying. And I'm saying this like there's 2 sides, basically, and you cannot be neutral and you can't poo-poo shit and stand in the middle and say, well, I don't really think this is this and I don't really think this is it. You're on the side of the oppressor then. And I have no respect for that. As somebody who has privilege and power, you do. You're a wealthy person. You could be doing a lot of better things, but you're standing in line with the oligarchs and the billionaires. Well, I have no respect for that. That's just the damn truth. Infamous saying, Kaz, it doesn't matter. It was the right place. Scotty messed up 3 times. They all messed up at different times in the 4th quarter and the overtime. There's nobody that's susceptible to saying, oh, they just did perfect. I won't say that. I think that all the players that were out there on the court at different times messed up. IQ, RJ, Scotty, Grady, Jamal, Jonathan, Orlando, all those guys who played near the end. Darko messed up too in certain ways with some of the things he did coaching wise. So there's enough blame for everybody. There really is. Infamous is saying it was a higher percentage shot. It could have been a better shot going out to RJ, but the problem really was that Scotty was not close enough to the basket. That's not within his little range of the ring around the basket where he's totally going to make it in high percentage. And that was part of the problem. As Jack said, he was too far out. He was too far out with that shot, and the percentage is not as good there. Kaz saying, I'll take a game-winning shot from Scott over RJ any day. RJ had his chances at the start of the season and missed every shot. I don't know if that's totally true about him either. I really don't know if that's totally true about him. RJ had some big clutch shots in crunch time games this year, and I don't think that's totally true. There are games where he misses. They all miss sometimes too. That's right. Kaz saying, David, you posted a political comment and then deleted it. Yeah, I don't even know what he's saying. I don't care. I'm not even going to read his comments. I don't even care what he has to say at this point. I just think it's insulting to me. It's like you're not here participating as a regular person. And every time you come back, you're negative and you're full of shit, David. Whether it was the Fred VanVleet comment in Facebook that I got mad at you for, and maybe I overreacted, but now you're coming back with this. You don't come here. You're not here every day. You're barely contributing to the channel, and you're gonna come back with this bullshit standing up for oligarchs and billionaires. Nah, fuck that. Get that garbage out of here. And I did that. I'll get it out of here. I'm not with half-ass people anymore. And if half-ass people gonna be half-ass, like Tom and Bradley and David, I'm fine with that. I outgrew you guys. And in some ways, you don't have to respect me. You don't have to like me. I don't give a shit. I'll go on with my life. And I hope you have all the best luck in the world. I hope you win all your bridge tournaments. I hope you have all the luck and the happiness in the world. But I don't respect people that are going to side with and be neutral in this situation today anymore. No, you got to pick a side, David. You can't be sidelining and saying, oh, this isn't that bad or this isn't bad. Either you're for nature and with me on what I'm trying to do to save this world out there, or you're not. And in some ways, you've portrayed yourself as the environmentalist that cares about that, but you're siding with people that are going to destroy our earth and don't care about this. So it's confusing. And in some ways, David, I don't know exactly who you are at this point because you're very confusing. You're not totally telling me all of who you are. And I know that. I've had that sense of you since I met you. In fact, the first time I ever met you and your brother, when you came to my hangout, the first one ever, I thought that you guys were cops. Honestly, I was like telling Adriana, I feel like the Saborin brothers are actually cops. They don't even look like brothers. I don't even know if they're actually related. In some ways, they give me a vibe of that being like some sort of weird investigators or cops or some shit. Now, the whole thing about you being a bridge player, I believe that because I see that you're with Robert Todd and all that stuff. I don't know, but who knows? You're in a weird circle and around the world and stuff. Who knows who else you're working for or whatever you're doing? Maybe that's just me being paranoid and weird. Maybe you're on the take with Amazon and you're like, oh, we got to stand up for Bezos. I don't know. You could be deep cover, whatever bullshit. I don't care anymore. Either way, I'm getting distance from you because it's confusing and toxic, whatever you are. And then maybe I'm being toxic in this situation to a degree. Well, it's just how I defend myself and how I deal with stuff. So that's it right there. There you go. Let's see. Kaz, you're missing the point. I don't even know what it is. Jill saying 11, all's well. This crowd win next time. Raptors, make us proud. Drink water. All right, Jill. Thank you for the water drinking thing. Of course, this is something I've missed with Jill. She comes in here. She helps me drink some water. I'm at over 2 hours. I'm gonna finish up soon. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Water is the essence of life, and I'm for life. I'm not for money. That's right. Let's see. Jill saying, what do you mean? RJ runs the floor when Scotty's not there. And Kaz is saying, you can tell I'm not a fan of RJ. I don't know why you're not, man. RJ's awesome. In fact, during the game last night, there was a moment where I was like, man, I'm so happy RJ's on our team. And it really is the fight in him, the intensity, and like, him really being strong arming with his offense and doing some of this stuff is so impressive. And some of the bank shots he makes and the passes he makes, I'm just like, man, I'm just so glad he's here. It's such a nice fit. And I'm just really glad he's on Toronto. Really, really am. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep it always, Lex. Despite the outcome, Raptor Freak Crew strong forever. Just helping Lex limit the comments. There you go. I like that. Info is saying Scotty drew a second defender. RJ was wide open. When I say that, I was like, what are you doing, Scotty? Laugh out loud. Scotty drew. Yeah. I don't know. Once again, we can Monday morning quarterback this all we want, and they do what they do. And Scotty said that was the play they called right there. Sheer Constant, good morning, Raptor Freak Crew. I just want to jump in to say the Raptors fans need not to worry too much about these tough losses. Just developmental blues till we can get more defensive chemistry. Better days are coming soon. I love that, Sheer Khan. Let's go, Sheer Khan. I love this shit. So good. Sheer Khan, you're going to get a dunk. A former Raptor Freak Rookie of the Year, Sheer Khan, the star of Raptors Tonight, which is too bad he hasn't had his place to come and talk to Randy Urban this year. It's been so stupid. 9 points for Sheer Khan, his third dunk of the year. I love that, man. Always good to see you check in with us, man. No Name saying, I'm still working on trying to figure out why my name won't show up. I went through all the settings and I have no idea. Well, if you're the only one with no name, you could just be no name, just like at the grocery store. No name. No name. Do you have a weird symbol for your name, like Prince does or something? Like, do you have the Prince symbol as your name? Is that what it is? I could call you the artist formerly known as No Name or something like that. I don't know. You could give me input on what your name should be since it's a blank. We can fill it in. Jill's saying, perhaps take a break sometime, David. We are intense people. Sometimes people are also opinionated, especially after loss. Perhaps better come in after win. This has nothing to do with any of that, Jill. This is something that's been going on for about 6 months. And it's stupid, honestly stupid. It's just some of it's miscommunication. Some of it's just absence. Some of it's just like, you made a commitment to my channel and you're not fulfilling it. And you've been here how many times in the last 4 months? 3 times, maybe. So it's like, why the hell are you coming in here with a political slant? Let's talk basketball first. It's like every time he steps towards me, he's coming at me in a weird way right now. And I'm just not having it anymore. If he wants to stand up for Doge or say some bullshit about Doge, this isn't Doge. This is Elon's special little list of getting back at people he wants to get revenge at, including his home country of South Africa, by taking all the aid away from minorities there, because he's a white supremacist who hates black people because he's from South Africa and his family made all their money off of subjugating black people. And now he's like coming back punitively by cutting U.S. aid to that country. And it's going to kill children. It's going to kill people around the world, what he's doing right now. So this Doge argument that David's making is absolutely evil and fucked up, because Doge is going to kill people right now by cutting off aid funding for around the world. And he's also going after all the people that came after him for illegally shooting rockets in the air. So he fires all the FAA people. He fires all the different departments in the government that ever kind of gave him any resistance in any kind of way for any of his endeavors. And then they're going to turn around and give him sweetheart deals to manufacture vehicles and different things and different systems for the U.S. government on huge contracts. So he's a grifter. He's grifting immediately with Trump on making huge contracts off the U.S. taxpayers' money, and he doesn't pay a single damn tax dollar himself. He's a fucking criminal robber baron in the modern times, and so is Bezos. These guys are the robber barons of this century, and these motherfuckers were around 100 years ago. And the United States fucked them up and got rid of them and got regulations. Well, we got to do it again. Obviously, history repeats itself with Nazis and fucking robber barons. Well, that's when the real Americans, the people who actually stand for the ideals of the United States and the Constitution, come up and check them and their bullshit. They did it before. They fucked up the robber barons because they, in a lot of ways, caused the Great Depression 100 years ago. And well, they fucked up the Nazis too. So there's a comeuppance coming for both Musk and Trump because of those. That's what they are. They're robber barons and white supremacists, and they deserve the thing they're going to get in the long run. If they don't get what they're going to get, then we live in an evil world where there's no justice. Is what I'm going to say right now. Seriously, that's what I'm going to say right now. This has nothing to do with the game last night, Jill, just so you know. Mike's saying no name. It's in the Google settings part. You have a name privacy, I think. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Piracy or privacy. Yeah, he means privacy. Yeah, not yeah, that's what he meant. Yeah. He said his fantasy lineups, then he ghosted. Yeah, David's still playing the fantasy, and he probably will win the fantasy, and he should. He's very good at it. And, Trevor will send him his trophy still. But I'm washing my hands of this. I don't like half-ass flaky shit. And in some ways, David's done some flaky-ass weird shit around me for the last year that I don't totally get. And in some ways, I'm just not going to question anymore or have anything to do with it. You're solid with me or you're not. And he's not solid with me because he doesn't show up. He took a responsibility on and he failed. He didn't fucking fulfill it. And he took off and he did whatever. He's not been here. He's supposed to have been in charge of trivia. He's supposed to be doing the points totals for the cards. He's been supposed to be helping me by posting the totals. He has not done any of that. And I've been doing it myself again. And I didn't really want to give him the responsibility to do it. I was perfectly fine doing it. He insisted. He's like, no, I want to do this stuff. And I was like, well, if you're going to do it, you need to really fulfill your end of the bargain and do it. Because I don't want to half-ass it like you did. And I have to take over it halfway through the season and fucking do it all myself anyway. I don't mind doing it all myself. I actually really enjoy it. It's something I really do enjoy, writing the trivia and doing all that. But David's like, oh, I want to write trivia. It looks fun. He's like, oh, I want to do it. And because he was giving me money for my channel, which I didn't necessarily need, but I was appreciative of it. I was like, okay, you're a member and you want to do this? I'll give you this ability. But he didn't fulfill his bargain of it. He did not show up and do it. And I'm not with flaky people like that. I'm sorry. If you made a commitment to help me with a job on this channel, you should have done it. Trevor does it. Trevor's made a commitment to do what he does with my channel. He's here every fucking day. And he doesn't have to be. In fact, Trevor missed a couple days. I would notice it, but I wouldn't be mad at him because he's been so supportive in the opposite way that David hasn't. And that's what I'll say right there. So that's the difference right there. Right there. Let's see. Jillian's saying some people only put their products on Amazon, which is unfortunate for the rest of us because it's it's been unethical towards its sellers for a very long time. Well, I would say this, Jill. if there are specific brands that you need to buy, try and outsource them and find them other ways. But if there aren't, like I'm saying, everybody should be kind of going over what they buy and consume. It's American and stop doing it and find the Canadian equivalent. And it may not be exactly the same thing. I'm making some tough choices on turning my back on some brands that I've been very loyal to for many years, but they're American and I'm not going to longer support them. So I'm finding the Canadian version, and it's not necessarily the same, but it will take that place. So I would say that, Jill, about that is like if you don't want to buy on Amazon and you think it's the only place where you can buy it, well, maybe buy something else different from somewhere else. And I highly encourage everybody to buy locally. That's the other thing. You should be buying locally, and not even buying from any kind of like big corporations. Don't shop at Loblaws. Go shop at the smaller groceries and pay a little bit more because it's worth the investment in our local economy and not giving more to corporations. How about that? There you go. Cass saying some people only care about money. That's what I'm saying. And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. That's why I'm not monetizing my channel. That's why you don't see ads every 10 minutes on my channel. That's why I don't give a shit about whether David gives me super chats or pays me money every month for membership because I can't be bought. And in some ways, that's probably part of the problem here is that David's infuriated by that he wants to control me to a certain extent by being one of my biggest donors. And I'm not to be sold. That's the thing. I can't be bought. I cannot be bought at this point. I really can't. And that infuriates people that want to buy everybody. And Ted DiBiase would be mad at me. It's like, everyone has a price. Sorry, bitch. I don't. You can't buy me, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man with Virgil. No, you can't. I cannot be bought. That's right. That's the difference here. I don't care about money at all. In fact, I actually have a little bit of I don't know, grudge against money. I guess that's the right word. Yeah. Jill's saying, let's look towards tomorrow's game, Magic. That's right. They're in eighth place. I wonder if it's a winnable game. I hope so. Well, I'll do my research tonight and I'll come back with the preview tomorrow and I'll give you my take on what I think could possibly happen. Hopefully things will be good and go really, really well. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It'd be, they've had Jalen Suggs is out now for the rest of the year because his injury has been re-aggravated and he's in a bad place. So we'll have to see who's available. I'll have to look at what they've been doing with their games recently. I'll really do a good scout. And I'll come back tomorrow with the preview for you, Jill. I hope you'll be here. Kaz saying, I can't get over a shooting forward, a small forward shooting like 65% from the free throw line, plays minimal defense and barely shoot. Kaz, this isn't sack on RJ. And once again, I will stand up for RJ like I'll stand up for Masai. I'll stand up for Darko. I'll stand up for Fred VanVleet. I'll stand up for Scotty. Don't come after RJ like that. He's had problems with his free throw shooting for sure. But that's the only thing he's done worse since he's come here from New York. That's the only thing. And once again, we highly value our Toronto guy on our Toronto team because it's just right. And people that don't like that, once again, I said this in the stream actually in the last couple of days, Kaz, so watch out. People that don't like RJ on our team, in some ways, I don't think you want what's right for our team, is what I'm saying. Because having a Torontonian on our Toronto team, and if we win, that's a huge story. And that's a glorious thing. And that's something I want to see to come to fruition. Is a Toronto kid on the Toronto Raptors winning an NBA championship. And RJ's that guy. That's what I want right there. Yeah, I'll go by. You'll go by No Name? Okay, fine by me. All right, cool. All right, No Name. That's cool. That's cool. It's a little bit of a reference to our grocery stores. Kaz is saying also, I want Scott to move to the 3 and get a proper power forward. So unless we move RJ to the set 2, I'd rather get rid of him. Just my opinion. Yeah, I'm not with this, man. I'm not with this. I really have been fighting off RJ people all week, and this is not the time to do this because I won't get with this. I'm going to give you a mulligan on this. I'm just going to give you a pass on this, but I'm just going to say, don't bring me this RJ stuff. I'll be nice to you today. But if it comes back again in a couple days or a week from now, I'm going to be meaner when it comes back around, just so you know, Kaz. No disrespect. I'm just saying this respectful right now. I don't mind your idea. I think that Scott being at the 3 would be awesome. And RJ's perfectly fine at the 2, so it would work. I mean, in some ways with Brandon, it's all ambiguous anyway. You could say that Brandon's the power forward and he could play more power forward role, but in some ways it won't probably because Scotty's the bigger, stronger guy in some ways. So I don't know. Would it be possible to think in your mind that Brandon Ingram's the power forward in this situation? Because that may be it right there. And we already got it. Jill's saying like and punch the like button. She put a boxing glove in there. Yikes. Wayne's saying, dude is busy canceling other firms' contracts, but none of his companies worthless pieces of flesh. Yeah. No, there's totally, it's like the fox is in the hen house and he's running roughshod on the government. He's cutting good people's jobs, people that didn't do nothing wrong and are getting in big trouble financially all of a sudden. He's really causing a lot of chaos. And there's a lot of things that there are safeguards that are going out the window. Like this measles outbreak is crazy bad. And they got rid of all the Center for Disease and Control people. And this is not going to be handled correctly because they don't have the manpower, because this guy's just cutting everybody from their jobs. And it's disgusting. And meanwhile, he's enriching himself on the side with huge contracts with Starlink and other bullshit right now. It's really, really fucked up. Anybody who can't see it for what it is right now, you're kidding yourself. And you're a fucking sycophant, boot-licking ass kisser if you don't fucking get the crimes that are being committed by Doge, Elon Musk, and Trump right now. They're crimes, seriously. I mean, I'm all for cutting government to a degree, but not like this. This is crazy. And what happened to Twitter is exactly what he's doing to the U.S. government right now. And we can see where Twitter is right now. Look at the cesspool it is and how it's full of misinformation and has gone downhill. There's no fact checking. All that kind of safeguards went out the window when he bought it. Well, this is the same damn action he's doing to the U.S. government. And that's a totally different thing than doing it to something called Twitter. He ran Twitter in the ground. Everything he did with Twitter is what he's doing to the U.S. government right now. It's the same shit he's doing. It's the same actions. Exactly the same. That's right. Without paying me 2 points. He's not allowable to be no name without paying you 2 points. Oh, because you're saying you're too similar. Nameless and no name. Nameless and no name. I can see this. I don't know. Is this the kind of thing where, Brandon came in and he said, hey, Jacoby, I'll give you $10,000 for the number 14. And then he's like, wait, no, I don't know. Do you owe Nameless some money? No name? Maybe. I don't know. No name versus Nameless. Laugh out loud. Your name is Papa. That's weird, Jill. You want to call him Papa? Okay. All right. Nameless saying no name. I'm going to send a guy around every Tuesday to collect. And he has those guys. Nameless, I might need your help. Seriously. I don't know. David and them hate me now. They might want to hurt me. So my paisanos, can I cut on my Italian mafia friends? Seriously, I might need protection. I might haul you guys. Actually, I have some booby traps already set up. You know what I do? Listen, I'm like Kevin McAllister. I'm Home Alone, right? Yeah, we know about that movie. Anybody tries to come to my house, they're going to find out. That's what I'm going to say right now. Because I did see that little comment Cowboy made a couple streams ago where he said, I'll see you soon. I was like, okay, you come see me, you might get a paint bucket to the head from a tree or something like that. Because I'm Home Alone, motherfucker, like Macaulay Culkin. So yeah. You don't want to see adult Home Alone. Yeah, it's a little bit more gruesome. That's right. Let's see. Mike's saying Scotty's scoring development is interesting. If we don't want him burning out, maybe we focus on mid-range and look for low volume 3 at league rate. It's hard to play both ends all out over time, in my opinion. Yeah, I think this is true too. That on the down low is part of the reason why Scott's not stepping up and carrying at key times when we want him to, is because in some ways he's tempering his energy and trying to figure out when to go and when not to go. And he's not always good about knowing exactly when to go sometimes. This has been the same thing the whole time in his development, his whole 4 years. We see little brief flashes of things and we're like, we want more, but he doesn't do more. And then there's like, remember in his rookie year, his second year, there'd be like whole quarters that he would do nothing and he wouldn't be active or making any kind of impact. And we'd be like, well, what is Scotty doing out there? Well, he's not doing anything to add to the game. That changed. It's been morphing and changing more and more. And these things that he's doing right now will become more commonplace and normal, and he'll be more confident in doing them, and he will go and execute and do them on a larger scale, more efficiently, more time. But I think this is true. We got to watch out that Scotty plays too physical inside near the basket, that he's worn down more, and that he does need a balance. He said this after the game. He needs a balance between passing and scoring himself. And he may need a balance between the inside stuff, which is so good, and the outside shooting that he needs to do still, just because of fatigue and in the thing that Mike's saying here right now. I agree with him, man. Kaz saying the Canadian thing is a joke. Just because he's from Canada, we have to keep him. You're talking about Elon? I don't know. Oh, RJ. You're talking about RJ. No, that's not a joke, Kaz. I don't know. You're from Ottawa, right? You don't live in Toronto, right? Have you ever lived in Toronto? In some ways, you can't understand this then. If you're not a Toronto guy or a Mississauga guy or a Brampton guy or a Scarborough guy, In some ways, you just don't get this connection and how this hits. I'm seriously not going to entertain this. Seriously, man. In some ways, I know I get on the bad side of different people, and I'm very combative and confrontational. I don't want to confront you on this, so I would just say just drop the narrative. If you have something against RJ, you might want to just keep it to yourself on this channel. You can go other places and talk about it. Obviously, you have the freedom of that, but I'm going to get really mad at you if you continue this line. Seriously, I really will. Let's see. Stargate saying, let me say this last thing about the game. We have Brandon Ingram available at the end of this game. We win. There's like like 100 different things that could have happened differently where we win last night. It's like it really was the perfect event right in a row for it to happen in this outcome. Because honestly, in some ways, we had to be bad in certain ways. We had to have Ed Malloy screw us over. We had to have Grady miss a free throw. It's crazy all the different outcomes that could have been possible for us to win. We should have won easily. There's all kinds of ways we should have won, but we didn't. And it's so weird how we managed the events to get to that spot. It's kind of impressive in a weird way, even if not like annoying and kind of pissed about it too. So I'll say that. Jill saying, no, Cass, RJ has decision-making ability during the plays. That's right. I love him. Yeah. Yeah, he's Canadian. We must keep him. I like keeping as many Canadians on our team. I like having an international coach. To be honest, I don't trust Americans in general in certain ways right now. I'm an American myself. I don't trust Nick Nurse because he left in the way he did. So I'm glad we have a Serbian coach named Darko. I don't trust that all the American guys that are on our team right now are going to be loyal to the Raptors down the road, and free agency decisions like Chris Bosh and Vince Carter were shown that they couldn't be trusted. So I have a lot more trust in RJ and people like him and Chris and Kelly because they are Canadian. So does that factor matter in this whole thing? Because I think it does. I think it does. And that's why I would say this. Yeah, Cass, I'm a little suspicious about you right now. Jill's saying Brandon Ingram might not be available till the end of the season. Yeah, every 2 weeks they're going to check, and we'll have to see where he's at. We'll have to see where he's at. Mike's saying Canadians on the team have an effect of making the long-term effects of being a high-level player, and kids like RJ seeing them, and he has a real effect. It's a bigger picture effect thing. Yeah, completely agree with this. That's what, in some ways, that's why I'm like, Kaz, why are you so anti this? In some ways, RJ being on our team is bringing the next generations up. And in some ways, he's an example. In some ways, people, like I said, people that are anti RJ, in some ways, are American a lot of times because they hate seeing a Canadian on a Canadian team and he's flourishing. A lot of Knicks fans hate RJ doing so well on our team because why didn't he do it on their team? And some of them really like him. And they were like, well, screw it. We don't have him anymore. In some ways, I'm going to make things all confusing. And we're going to say things like, oh, RJ needs to leave the team from our fan nation. And hopefully some people on their side will start saying it too, like Kaz. I mean, that's the way I look at it right now. There's nothing wrong with RJ being on our team. He's fantastic. He's been a great fit. And I see him on our team for a long time in the future, God willing. That's what I want. But some people don't want that. And somebody's I'm just saying, well, that sucks. I don't know why you wouldn't want him on our team. He fits fine. Him and Scotty have a great chemistry. And that's one of the most important things about him being on this team is that him and Scotty have a great chemistry. Some people see that and they're like, oh, no, the Raptors are getting too good. Oh, no, they have a player that's very capable and strong arming and doing really well. He's Canadian, too. I hate that. Get him off the team. That's the way I look at it right now. That's the way I look at it right now. That's right. Let's see. Stargate saying, yeah, let's get rid of a guy who has been our best scorer in only a year and a half, unable to play with a healthy team all year. Yeah, let's just get rid of him. Just get rid of his sake. Yeah, I totally with Stargate, totally with everybody else. I will stand with RJ and defend him. That's right. Kaz is bugging right now. I think that's right. Wayne's saying that's a solid point, logical on Scotty regarding playing both sides of the court. Having Ingram is a huge benefit for point production. Scotty should relish another player with such skills. Yeah. Yeah. I like all that. I think that this is true. I think that's the other thing that people got to understand. There's enough at the table to feed everybody. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to get 20 points a game. It doesn't mean everybody's going to have the best stats they would if not everybody's there. That's not what team is. If you're worried about individual stats and Scotty and RJ and Brandon and Emmanuel all hitting certain stats, you have the wrong priorities when you're looking at the basketball game. These guys can have lower stats and all be on the same team and play a better team game and will be more like the Celtics with a more deeper team with a lot of good talent. That's what we want. And in some ways, that's the way other people are gaslighting the Raptors and the Raptors fan nation is to say, you guys aren't worth it to have such a collection of top-notch level player talent. You need to lose some of them, like RJ needs to leave. That's what I'm saying here. This action's going on right now. We're good enough. We've got the cap room. We're doing it. So it's not true. We can keep all these guys. Everybody's saying we need to get rid of RJ. You're wrong because it fits. It fits. And when Brandon comes in, you'll see it too. Now, their numbers may not all be what they would be playing together because they got to take slices of pie in conjunction with each other. But that's fine because they playing together with talent around each other means they'll win more. And that's really what it's all about, right? It's not about the average of what they score or what their stats are. It's about whether the team wins, right? And that's where the priority should be right there. That's right. Suspicious about what? I don't know. Just your Kaz, your anti RJ stuff is really not popular here. Let's just put it that way. That's all. And that's why I was saying I'll give you a pass on this. I've been dealing with this already this week. I don't know if you were here on the day where I had somebody come in that was new and they were very anti RJ, and I kind of went off on them earlier this week. So some of the stuff I just said to you is rehashed from that. But I want to give you more respect because you've been here for a while. And I'm going to say, like I said, you can go ahead and say this today, but if you come back and you repeatedly are bashing RJ or saying some of this stuff in the future, I'm going to be a lot less nice. Let's just put it that way. I'll just say, and that's my right. And it's your right to do that if you want, but just know I'm warning you now. That's all I'm saying. Smooth saying Davion had a big game for Miami. Interesting to see what his contract will look like. That's pretty cool. I want to wish the best for Davion. I like Davion Mitchell a lot, and the fit in Miami is nice for him. So, I don't have any ill will to him. I think he's awesome. Just like Dennis Schroeder, he's only a half-year Raptor. But in my book, both those guys are solid gold alumni, and I'll love them for the rest of the time they play. And they can do no wrong in some ways, unless they do come out and say some crazy bullshit about the Raptors in Toronto. But they haven't done that. They're very respectful, and they love this place. So, yeah, Wayne, facts. That's right. Kat said, I never said to get rid of him if I said he can't play at the 2. That's kind of what you were overturing. You were saying that. And I am very protective of RJ. I really am. Because in some ways, I could see where he's going to be the logical choice of many Raptors fans to be this is the guy we need to get rid of, kind of like what you're coming to, even though you're not explicitly saying that. It's kind of what you're inferring. Let's just say that. Jillian's saying, Bobby Webster said that we want people who want to be here. Of course, some will be Canuck. Yeah, we don't want to mess with people that don't want to be here. Brandon Ingram wants to be here. He's shown that. Scotty wants to be here. This is what matters. These guys, you can tell. You can't fake it anymore. Raptors fans have a radar for this. After going through things with Chris Bosh and other people, Kawhi Leonard, Vince Carter, we can tell who really wants to be here and who doesn't. And if you're kind of being half-assed or weird about it, we can feel that energy. And I don't feel it from most of our guys on our team right now. I think that overall, pretty much the whole entire Raptors team is very happy in Toronto. They're very happy about the project that's in front of them and the growth that they see in front of them. And they could see that they could be in a worse place, and they're very happy to be here in Toronto. So I get those vibes overall. The last guy that was kind of like, he kind of, I don't know if he really feels like he wants to be here is Bruce. And Bruce is gone now. And it's kind of been nice not having Bruce come off the bench for us. Have you noticed that? Like, since Bruce got traded, I was like, oh, man, no more Bruce Brown minutes. In some ways, I've kind of liked that, honestly. I really have. Nameless is saying, you can count on the support from the Italian-Albanian community, Lex. All right, Nameless, seriously, Paisano. I'm not joking. I've had a lot of mafia friends throughout my life. I'm not going to lie. I was in the Yakuza for a little while, guys. I'm not going to lie. I have some training in certain ways. And that's why I say I'm not afraid of motherfuckers. If they're going to try and make threats to me, if they're going to say, if you talk DEI, if you're woke, if you're liberal, if you're this, and you're trying to intimidate me or scare me and not being who I am, my rhetoric and what I believe, I'm not going to be like this. I'm not going to let people bully me like the president's trying to do to Zelensky. No. I'm not trying to be popular with everybody either. I know what's right and wrong in this world, and I'll stand with what I believe is right. And that's why I'm not going to put up with this shit. Yeah, I do have some training from my mafioso days. I've worked with a couple different mafias in Toronto, downtown. So, I appreciate that. And I'll have to check and see if your connections are similar to mine. All right, let's see. Stargate saying, does RJ have flaws? Yes, of course he does. But does that denote a whole get rid of narrative? No, it doesn't. I mean, I understand why Kaz, I'll be a counterpoint and a devil's advocate for Kaz a little bit here. I understand why some of you guys, and he's not the only one who said this, we shouldn't just value keeping a guy just because he's Canadian on our team. But I would argue every single time, yes, we should. because of things like what Mike said. And also the fact that there is a built-in loyalty. And there's also, there is a really special thing about building more culture around our team when you have players that were little kids that dreamed about playing for your team. And we've had some of those kind of players, and they've been mostly Canadians. Ken Birch, Chris Boucher, Delano Banton, AJ Lawson, Eugene Omoruyi, RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, all those guys were young enough to see the Raptors on TV as Canadians, and they loved the Raptors because they grew up here in Canada, and they loved the Raptors, and they got the chance to play for the Raptors organization. And in some ways, that does hit hard. That does hit hard. I mean, as much as the Leafs nation is going to we have Canadians that want to come play for the Leafs because they always dreamed about it. We needed to get to this point in our franchise history 30 years in where we have young people that dreamed about playing for our team, and they're fulfilling that dream. And in some ways, RJ is the highest pinnacle of those kind of players achieving the highest level of success on our team. So why wouldn't we want to continue this? I'm telling you, it's a real pure love, and it's an unadulterated loyalty too to our team, our city, because it's his city and it's his team from when he was a child. And that's the thing right there. He's known Masai for what, 10, 15 years? Since he was a little kid. RJ used to come to the arena with his dad because his dad's in Team Canada. And RJ would come to the arena and he'd be around Masai as a kid. So it's not like RJ's new to Masai Ujiri and the Raptors organization. RJ used to come to games all the time with Rowan Barrett Sr. And Rowan would bring him in the back and he'd meet, hey, RJ, this is Masai. Hello, Mr. Ujiri. And it's like RJ's 10 years old. So let's not get it twisted. There's a lot of connection and deep stuff with RJ and the Raptors being a kid who grew up in Mississauga. Right there. Mo, thank you for the cutoff. We're a little bit past. So we're saying, hey, Toronto waived PJ Tucker. He had to be waived by today to be eligible for playoffs. Yeah, they did that for him yesterday. In some ways, I think it's more for our benefit is to have the open roster spot and to be able to get some new people in to try them out and see. It'll be a little bit like last year with Jordan Wara and JFL and all those different guys kind of cycling in from the 905, Jemias Ramsey, different people on 10-day contracts. We're going to do a bit of that now. And PJ's roster spot's freed up now, so we can do it with his spot. That's good. Yeah, Castan, I know different opinions can be had. Yeah, I'm with you on that. In some ways, I'm going to say it's like I'll be overprotective of him because he's one of us, is basically what I'll say right there. Yeah. So let's see. It looks like there was some truth to what David was saying. No, I don't know what David said, and I don't really care, honestly. And everybody can turn on me. I don't give a shit. I'm unapologetically Lex. And this whole thing with David is it's a lot deeper than just this stuff. Honestly, it's other stuff. It has a lot to do with him just not helping me on the channel like he promised. And in some ways, I'm not with the half-assed shit anymore. I'm really not. Just saying, Kaz, just like the like button. Yeah, you guys are putting words in my mouth as well. Well, I don't know. You said certain things before. I mean, it's all in there. You were very anti-RJ. And I'm telling you right now, I'm super protective of him. I've just warned you. I'm saying it. I did the same thing the other day. And I'm doing it in other places too, if I see it. I just feel like people are naturally thinking, well, now that we got Brandon, we don't need RJ anymore. But that's not true. And so I'm kind of standing on this hill. That's all. That's all. Smooth saying, I can't see anyone signing him, though. He hasn't played since last season. I'm curious as what happened with the Clippers. It seems like a good situation there. He kind of had a falling out with that organization. And I don't know. It's probably just because of his injuries. And, PJ Tucker's not totally an easy person to deal with in some ways. Let's just put it that way. He's kind of he's a certain personality. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. The guy's getting paid a lot of money. He doesn't have to play this year. Somebody made the joke on online saying that he's like the ultimate NBA remote worker. He didn't even show up for training camp this year for the Clippers. And then he got traded twice. And he's not going to have to show up for anything this whole entire year. A completely remote worker for the NBA and still getting paid. That's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's see. Cat's saying, I said I want him to play the 2. If not, then we need to look at other options. Well, that would seem like that was the after thing. It was like you were coming at RJ and you say if he can play the 2, but if he can't play the 2, well, he can play the 2. He's proven that. He's already been playing the 2 at times this year. I don't know. Either way, like I said, my whole thing right here is we can have different opinion. Your opinion is noted, but I'm super protective of RJ. And I will do this just as far as like what I want to put out in the world, as far as my opinions on RJ are going to be what they're going to be. And they may not line up. In some ways, I don't want to revisit, well, this is why RJ is not good and this is not good and stuff like that. Unless it's very specific for specific incidents in a game from the game last night. But I don't want to just blanketly say, well, this is why we should not have him, or this why we shouldn't this or this or this, because I will have the same stance every time. To me, he's proven everything I want from him for this team. Seriously, in a lot of ways, he's proven a lot, and the clutch stuff will get better too. Yeah. Jill's saying Lex said PJ was waived because the Raps wanted open space available. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Kat's saying I always hit the like button. The fact that there's 20 to 25 viewers in here every day and only 5 likes shows who actually supports this channel. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. No, I mean, seriously, I know I'm abrasive, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not like normal YouTube channels where I'm trying to kiss everybody's ass to keep them here. I really am not. I have to be unapologetically myself with my opinions, and then politically, that's a whole other arena. If I really wanted to get as many views and subscriptions, I wouldn't talk politics at all. But I don't feel like that's the right way to be in this world today. Silence is not a good thing in the way things are going right now. And if I have a platform and an ability to talk to people, I'm going to use it. It is what it is. In some ways, I'm a very specific taste. And some people really, really enjoy it and love it, and they're here every day. And some people don't. And some people have their course with me, and they'll like it for a while, and then it gets tired and old. Or maybe I say something politically that turns them off, and they're like, yeah, I can't watch him anymore. That's perfectly fine. I'm the same way with other YouTube channels. I'll watch something like I was really into retro blasting, which is an old classic toy, vintage toy channel, which was like really cool. Like a husband and wife runs it. And then one day his wife said some opinion about somebody, and I was like, that's really mean and wrong. And I stopped following them. So I understand how fickle people can be about YouTube and whether they follow people or not. But once again, I don't want to compromise or get all hung up in my head about pleasing people for my channel and compromising my style and what I do. So I'm no filter, and I'm just giving you my emotional, true response on anything right now. And it's not anything personal against you, Kaz. It's just I'm super protective for RJ. And I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying. If I do say something wrong, correct me, and I will come around and make sure that we say you right. All right. So you don't want to get rid of RJ. You just want to make sure he fits with everything. Okay. I'm glad you clarified. Mike's saying that Clippers need offense bad. PJ wasn't good enough defensively or offensively to get minutes over even other players than like Mann got minutes. They were hurting on size. Yeah, I think this is true. I think PJ Tucker on a lot of ways has been washed for a couple of years now. I remember when we still had Siakam and we were playing Philadelphia, and he absolutely just destroyed him. And he seemed washed then. And this was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And he hasn't really been healthy since then. So I'm going to say this right now. In some ways, PJ Tucker's just collecting checks, and he's not really physically able to play at a good level. And I think that's part of it. And even Mike's probably saying, yeah, the Clippers probably understood this. And like in some ways, that's why they didn't really care if he came to training camp or not. Because I think he is washed on the down low, but he's just collecting checks. And in some ways, that's impressive for a guy who started in Europe and made his way back to the NBA and made a career for himself the way he did. He's going to make that money. He's going to make that money. Notice it. All right, there's a name right there. No name here. Thing I got it figured out. You notice it. All right, notice it. I notice it. I notice it. Notice it. Welcome. All right, notice it. Trevor's saying, I'm so glad to all those who want to get RJ off this team. Y'all not making the decision. The front office is so happy you guys are not general manager. We'll be sucker at your job. Yeah, I appreciate Bobby doing the job, and also Masai too. I love that story about Masai on the open gym this week, talking to his wife about Bobby and hiring him. And it was interesting that Masai tried to hire Bobby in Denver, and Bobby denied him, said, I don't want to work for you in Denver. So Masai really wanted to work with Bobby Webster. That says a lot. And the whole time since he's been working for us, Bobby's been here, and he had to entice him. In some ways, that's the kind of person you want being your general manager, a tough negotiator. And he said no to Masai in Denver. He wouldn't come work for him there, but he said yes here. And who knows what Bobby and Masai had to negotiate to get him to come here. And even when I've heard when Bobby's contract comes up, he's a tough negotiation for MLSE and Masai to get figured out as the GM, because he's just like that. Well, that's all good characteristics for a GM who has to negotiate with the other teams, right? That's what I say. Also, it's funny how Masai said they met him. His wife met him, and he came in like all casual and young looking. And she had heard him talking on the phone, negotiating with him to come work for the Raptors. He's like, this is the guy you've been having these tough talks with all week long and trying to get him here. This is what he looks like. He's just this young guy. He seems like really chill and happy-go-lucky, and he's dressed real casual. He's like, yeah, that's him. That's Bobby. That's kind of a cool story. I like that whole story from Open Gym this week. Open Gym, top notch. Number one, Raptors delight. Yeah, I'm glad that these guys don't do that job either, Trevor. And I'm glad that Bobby does. Yeah. Jill's saying sometimes people just forget to push the button because we can't see it. So we need to remind them. No biggie. That's all. All right, Jill. I appreciate your part in that and the water break. That's right. Let's see. Wayne saying if Dennis is in Detroit, is he complaining? I don't think so. He's in the playoffs. Same with Davion. He's playing vibes. Masai has always landed players in good locations. Yeah, I mean, Masai they did trade Dennis to Brooklyn, and that but I'm glad that Dennis is finally on the Pistons right now, and the Pistons are really coming up. And man, they're really on fire. And I do want to think that Dennis Schroeder coming from Golden State suddenly, all of a sudden, has been a little uptick in helping them get to even better like this because he has that effect. I mean, seriously, think about his work with Team Germany the last couple of years, being a FIBA MVP, even the stuff he did for us in the half year he was on the Raptors. He had a winning effect for us. And well, he's adding that to a team with Tobias Harris and Cade Cunningham in Detroit. And in some ways, he's a great addition to their team for the playoffs, a really, really good one. And he may have a lot to do with the current win streak they're on as far as leadership and organization and adding his part of winning to what they were already doing. So, yeah, I think that people are right. I'll put my vote in for Coach of the Year for JB Bickerstaff. A lot of people are saying that right now. The JB Bickerstaff may be Coach of the Year. Now, some say the person who took his job should get it, Kenny Atkinson. I think those are the two front runners for Coach of the Year, Bickerstaff and Atkinson. Both exceptional jobs. I think Atkinson had it for most part in the first half of the year, but now that the Pistons are coming up right now, JB Bickerstaff's getting more attention for that right there. Yeah, he's getting more attention. Jill's got my 12 o'clock. Time to make brunch. See you tomorrow. There you go. Almost at 3 hours. Mike's saying that Webster stuff is so good. Yeah, it's just, it shows the dichotomy of him, the young hotshot he is, the brilliant FBI profiler mind that he is, and the negotiator he is. Yeah, Bobby Webster's awesome. And I'm really glad we have him on our team. Notice is saying, We the North documentary in theaters wasn't great either. Similar to the Raptors Delight thing. Oh, really? You went and saw it? So it was kind of sullying some of our achievements and kind of pointing out all the warts and stuff like that. That's too bad. I don't like hearing that. I know Alex Wong's book was pretty fair, prehistoric, and a lot of that movie was based from his book. So that's pretty good right there. Mike's saying he's a great logic puzzle building guy. We scout players and get certain info to Bobby, and he sees how things fit. Yeah, he has a very good mental picture of the salary cap, and he's a savant with all the rules and understanding what is possible. Like, that's what I'm saying when I say these guys live on the moon and we don't. We live on Earth. These guys live on the moon. They understand the rules of the moon way better than we do. In fact, some of the rules that Bobby has to follow, it's not public knowledge. There's probably certain things that he has to do as a GM that the public doesn't understand or would have no idea that this is part of the job. So there's a lot to it. And he's really good at the job. Seriously, he's really, really good. We're lucky to have our front office. We really, really are. Both of them. Some people would say, well, if we have both of them, we could get rid of one of them. And that's that logic we're talking about right now. No, we want the talent. And in some ways, the partnership of Ujiri and Webster is part of that power of the greatness of our franchise right now. Them together and working in partnership. And if some people would say, well, Ed Rogers may say, oh, we don't need both of them. We just need one of them to run the team. Why do we have to have both of them? He said that. But there's a certain difference in their job titles and what they're doing. And Bobby really does do the general manager work, and Masai's more like the president and the theme builder, the culture builder, and the figurehead. And meanwhile, Bobby's doing like the hard work on the phones and doing all that kind of stuff. And Masai has more time to go do things like Giants of Africa, Basketball Africa League, and other things that he does for the league and for basketball in general around the world. So it's a really good arrangement. Now, Masai's in charge overall, and he does get a final say, I'm sure, with what Bobby does, and he has to talk to him about it. But Bobby's probably making a lot of the decisions himself, and Masai's probably like, you know what, this is perfect, Bobby. You did it again. You're amazing. And so Bobby Webster is the GM, but Masai is probably making final decisions with him. So that's all. Let's see. Cass saying, I'm suspicious because I'm not on the same page with RJ as you as Wild. Yeah, I don't know. I listen, I'm very out here exactly what you can see. You can see my face. You can see how I talk. You can see how I react. I'm an open book. You guys are just a text and a name, and I don't even know what you look like, bro. So it's like I have to trust you guys to an extent as people that I don't know. You know, one of y'all could be somebody that knows my ex-wife and you're just watching me. There's all kinds of paranoid things I could be like, oh, what is this person? And why are they here? I could get in all kinds of weird places where I'm like, because I'm public. Anybody could come watch me at any time. I'm like in some ways a sitting duck, but in some ways also the anonymity of each one of you guys could represent yourselves as one thing and be a totally different thing behind the scenes. And I'm aware of that. And in some ways, that's why I can only go by what you guys say for who you are. And that's the only way. That's the only way right there. So I don't know if I should be suspicious of you, Kaz. You've been awesome. Trucker Kaz has been a cool addition. And in some ways, I'm not going to go and investigate all you guys as to who you are with your real names and what you really are all about in your real lives. Maybe I should. But in some ways, I'm just like, I just want to trust that you guys are just people that love the Raptors. You want to be here and talk about the Raptors every morning with me. And that's it. That's it right there. Trevor's saying ESPN is pushing for a Detroit coach to be coach of the year. Yeah. Yeah, I'll stand with that. I think Bickerstaff has made a late push this season for that. It would have been Atkinson's to win for sure. And maybe Atkinson will still win, honestly, because Cleveland has had a very, very good season this year. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it is between those two Central Division coaches, Bickerstaff and Atkinson for Coach of the Year. I think it's going to be between the two of them. Yeah, notice it saying, yeah, there was only like one. There was only like a 4-minute stagnant on the championship, just kind of glazed over it. That's too bad. That's really disappointing that they only did like a 4-minute thing on that. Did they cover after it? Like, did they start covering Tampa? Did they go all the way up to present day with the story? That's too bad. I was really hoping that documentary would be like Open Gym and be very positive and for the Raptors in certain ways. But if they want to be truthful and tell all the lumps and the stories, that's fine. In some ways, that's fine. It's fair to do that. It's just for Raptors fans, most teams, when they make media about teams and their excellence, like the Celtics series is coming out, or any of this stuff with the NBA players like LeBron and Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards, they want to show like the good stuff and make a like inspiring and stuff like that. I don't get people that want to spend time making stuff about the Raptors and they want to make it like really kind of like what Raptors Delight did and possibly this movie. I haven't seen it. I'll have to see it for myself and see if I agree with you. But yeah, I would like more dramatic kind of stuff like Open Gym that builds up pride and culture for our team in a positive way and is more attractive for fans to be positive Raptors fans that are very proud of being Raptors fans. That's the thing I'm talking about. And Stargate will agree with me is there's media forces in Canada that don't want the Raptors to be so popular. And I feel like the spawn of that is Raptors Delight and maybe to a degree, We the North movie also. I've heard really good things about the Inbound movie, though. The Inbound movie really concentrates on the growth of basketball in Canada and how it's correlated in some ways to immigration and newcomers coming here. People like Chris Boucher from St. Lucia and stuff like that. So you obviously saw that movie too. Was that movie very good? I think maybe the Inbound movie, if We the North movie is kind of like what you're saying, I might enjoy the other movie more. We'll have to see. Of the sea. Kaz saying, that's true, Lex. I'm not fake, but I can see that from your view. You don't know if I'm lying. Yeah, I have no idea. That's why when people have come in here and said, I'm Vince McMahon or I'm Darko Rajakovic, I'd had to go along with them. Because in some ways, it's like, you can lie to me all you want, and I'll just believe you because you're just presenting what you are to me. It's shame on you if you're lying to me. That's fine. But in some ways, I got to go with what it is. It's like Darko is in here. If I treated him like, yeah, you're not Darko. Fuck you coming in here, Darko Rajakovic. Yeah, right. But it was actually him. So I'm glad I didn't act like that. I'm glad I didn't act like that towards Darko when he joined our chat during the summer after he got hired because he wanted to come and meet the fans and come talk to us. And he came in and talked to us for a couple days in the summer after he got hired. And it was totally him, guys. It really was him. It has an official picture. He talked like him and he had his name and it is spelled right. And he had the energy like it was him. But I could easily thought this is just a fake account and somebody's trolling me. But I'm telling you, I got information from inside MLSE from an employee saying that that was Darko that came to our Raptor Freak chat and interacted with us at that time. And when we went to the coach's open house and Granny Evelyn gave him the gift and it said from the Raptor Freaks, he knows about us. It's kind of crazy. So I'm glad I didn't treat him like he was a fake. And that's what I'm saying. I got to take you guys as what you present yourselves. That's all I can do. That's right. Trevor's saying, remember, negative stuff gets the most love because it gets the most views. Yeah, that's the sad thing. Yeah, I really am going to leave Facebook, guys. I'm going to deactivate my Facebook in the next couple weeks, and we're going to have an alternative place for our Raptor Freak chat during games. And I'll get that all organized and done before I actually move out of Facebook, but I'm going to close it down. I'm sick of that shit. They don't have fact checking anymore there. Zuckerberg's gone the way of Twitter. Well, I don't want to fill my head with bullshit from their feeds that is absolutely untrue. And y'all should strongly consider this too, and understand you got to have critical thinking with what's curated for your feeds. And they are trying to force feed bullshit to you to shape your perception of the world and your worldview. And that's very manipulative. And in some ways, it may seem innocuous, some of the stuff that gets posted on your feed just automatically, but there is a very, 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 very strategic reason why they send you that stuff. And if you think critically through it and look at it, you may understand it more. Seriously. Mike saying the issue with Raptors Delight is the editing and narration. It's done to make certain people look dumb from an editing choice. The narration is Leaf style, thinking it's funny or something. Yeah, I hate that. I don't know if they do that this way, though, if they did the Leafs Delight, though. I think that they would be more earnest and be like prideful and say the Leafs came back in the second quarter and tied the game up to the Panthers. But then in the third period, they lost. And, they would treat them more respect and maybe glaze over their failures a little bit more instead of such pronouncement of failures like they did with Raptors Delight. That's the argument I'm making about this, Mike, is if they did the equivalent for the Blue Jays or the Leafs for the last 30 years, they'd probably be talking about all the best things they did instead of highlighting all the failures and the bad things like they are doing for the Raptors. That's kind of what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Notice it is saying the Basketball Canada part was cool. It had interviews with Chris's mom and Lou Dort's mom and about the SGA and Alexander Walker come up and stuff. That's awesome. And that's partly the Vince effect. That's partly the championship effect. And that's just the great cultivation of more and more great players coming from the country of Canada. And that's fantastic. Yeah. UC saying happy first day of March, y'all. Yeah, it's not a leap year. There's no 29th today. That's right. Yeah. Maple laugh culture. Shaking my head. Yeah. Well, the guy who does the narration's obviously more a hockey guy because I don't even know who the fuck he is. He's like a local Toronto commentator or podcaster or some shit, Tom or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's horrible at that job, and I hate him. If I see him doing anything on media stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is the jackass from Raptors Delight. Fuck him, is what I'll say. Yeah. Shirkan saying, in regards to this ongoing debate about David, Kijiji and FreeCycle are my go-to for all electronics, furniture, and other small knickknacks. Amazon is like the last thing I check after exhausting all over. I love that, Shirkan. I'm going to give you another dunk because seriously, we can make a difference in this kind of way. And my influence right here is not to help Amazon, is not to help the corporations, is to help help small businesses, help people that you could see face to face. You go and help a home hardware location instead of a Rona or even a Home Depot or any of these big hardware stores. Go buy from Home Hardware because Home Hardware is locally owned by family businesses here in Canada and usually has Canada products. If we're going made Canada, we got to go all out. And in some ways, just buying through Amazon's buying American, regardless, no matter what you buy, because it's an American company. So I commend you, Shirkan, on your sourcing out and looking other places like Kijiji before you go to Amazon. And I wish more people were like you, and I hope more people will be like you as time goes on. That's right. Jill's saying, what? No Facebook? I never look at the feeds, Lex. Well, that's good for you. Unfortunately, there's a couple different things going on with my Facebook, and I just don't want it anymore. I waste too much time in there in certain ways that I don't need to anymore. And I'm just jaded on it at this point. And, it's been a nice run. I'm going to have to figure out a way to keep in contact with some of my friends from there that I like to keep in contact from there, but I'll figure it out. But it's going to be a transition. It's not going to happen just like tomorrow. It's going to be over the next 2 months or so. But I will be leaving there probably by the end of the summer for sure, if not sooner. For sure, yeah. UC saying, used to be subbed to Raptors Delight, but when I found out it was mostly negative, I unsubbed. I don't get how they got big around the scene. Well, it's Sportsnet, and it was a very hyped up series that we knew was coming. Like Sportsnet was telling us ahead of time, we are doing all these interviews and we're doing all this amazing stuff for the Raptors, and we want to show you the project. And when it came out, I was excited. I really wanted something good. But they really did a tacky job of it. Poor editing and a very jackass narrator. And they really want to show all of the failures of the Raptors and really key on them. And they'll probably gloss over our successes and say, like, yeah, the Raptors wouldn't have won the championship if Kevin Durant didn't get hurt. And bullshit like that. I don't like that. All right, let's do the classic card real quick. And let's see. Okay, we got Kelly. Why did I say it out loud? That's dumb. It was Kelly Trapuka, which is an unfortunate name, but all right, we'll go forward. I don't know why I said it out loud. That's dumb. I've never done that before. Okay, we'll do this one. This is perfect for last night. All right, here's the classic card of the day, guys. Who knows who this player is? We actually were around this guy last night because we played the Bulls, and he was at the game. So this guy was at the game last night. If you know which Bull this is, it's easy pickings. Easy pickings for a classic card of the day. This is not a hard one. Craig Hodges is wrong, Isaac. Good to see the benevolent one, Isaac Campbell, in the house, holding it down for us in Ottawa, NDP region. Let's go, Isaac. I know you did your part this week in trying to help with the election. I know you did. That's not Craig Hodges, though. Smooth's going to get it again. His streak is on. It's Stacey King. He is the color commentator for TV for the Bulls. Bill Wennington is the color commentator for radio with Chuck Swirsky, but this guy's the guy who's on the TV. Stacey King is the right answer. Not Bill Cartwright either. It is Stacey King, and Smooth Brown Man is once again won again. There you go. All right, let's see. Let's put this in real quick. I don't even know if I'll use the spreadsheet soon anyway. I don't really need it. It's just kind of been nice to see who all the different people that we've had for the cards have been. But in some ways, it's not totally necessary, this whole spreadsheet. All right, it's 100 points because that's an easy one. So, Smooth, your streak is on. 5 days in a row of getting it. All right, let me do the rundown real quick and get the hell out of here real quick. The Bulls beat the Raptors in overtime last night. It was a string of events that led to it in a certain way for it to happen, exactly like that. And it wasn't easy. Grady had to miss a free throw, and Ed Malloy had to do a ref hit job. So that's how it went. The stars of the game for me were Scotty, Jakob, and Emmanuel. In the 905 game, my stars are Eugene, Evan Gilliard, and Jared Roden. The referees for today's Wisconsin Herd Raptors 905 game, 7 p.m. start, I believe. J.D. Rawls, Eric Alig, and William McClatchy are the 3 refs for that game tonight. I did the Instagram. I already talked about that. Raptors Reddit has something cool here on the top of Raptors Reddit. Fun fact, Jakob Poeltl is 4th in field goal percentage all time in the NBA, guys. He's number 4th in the whole entire NBA history in field goal percentage. That's pretty cool, Raptors Reddit. I love that. I love that a lot. All right, guys, thanks for watching. There's a weird Leap Day episode of Kensington Variety VIP Club out that happened on February the 29th. It's 5 years ago. Of course, it's March the 1st. So check that out if you want to see what was happening. It's very much just before when the pandemic was about to start. The Raptors were just about to go out on the West Coast road trip that they were on when the pandemic started in that episode. So check it out. And you also get to see my championship ring in that episode. I buy the championship ring on that episode and I show it to the people in the store. So check out the latest Kensington Variety VIP Club show from 5 years ago. It's a time capsule 5 years later cascading towards us. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow for a preview for the Orlando game tomorrow and react to this Wisconsin Herd game. All right, y'all. I know I'm ornery. I know I'm difficult to deal with sometimes. And yeah, I'm combative. I just got to be lax. I'm sorry. I appreciate everybody who does enjoy me and then does enjoy being here. I know, listen, I am like very happy with the support and the people being here. Don't get me wrong. But I have to also stand on who I am. And that's part of this whole thing too. I appreciate everybody. All the best on this Saturday. God bless. And may the Lord above protect the meek, the mild, the disabled, the weak, the maligned, the minorities, the people that are being subjugated to bullshit right now. And may he protect them and help them to get through this shitstorm of bullshit. Thank you. Thank you, Lord above. We have faith in you that everything's going to be all right in the end because you are the creator. And hopefully what you created and what you saw for the world is what will win out in the end, whether it has to do with people being here or not. Seriously. Anyway, y'all, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go, Raptors. Woo! Yeah, baby. Woo!